Good morning. The meeting is live. Please unmute your microphones to begin the meeting.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dennis Trainer. I'm the chair of the Joint Authority and Canal Corporation's Audit Committee. I welcome members John Kamel, Michael Kuzak, Lewis Warren Jr., and Lori Wheelock. I also welcome the NYPA staff members who are participating. This is a scheduled committee meeting which has been duly noticed as required by open meetings law. And I'll call this regular meeting to order. We will begin with the adoption of the agenda. I ask the committee members if there's any amendments to the proposed agenda.
I'm happy to move it as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I now ask Salman Ali, Senior Vice President, Internal Audit Committee, to present the first two reports. Good morning, Salman. How are you?
Hey, Solomon.
Do the slides. Pull up the slides. Perfect. Right. Good morning, Chairman.
Morning.
Trustees, NYPA colleagues, member of the public. Let me briefly outline what we'll cover this morning. I will start with where our audit plan stands, execution and observations as of July 17th. I will then touch upon our mission and strategic priorities, confirm our required communication to this committee, and then turn to our strategy and the impact it is delivering. You will also hear from two members of my leadership team, Ken Lerman on innovation and Ignacio Bulrejo on people development. So let's start with audit execution. We have had a good start to 2026. We have 43 audits on the 2026 audit plan, including 4 EH&S engagements. 5 deliverables have been issued to date, 3 reports and 2 memos. As just a reminder, our audit year runs April to March, so we're early in the cycle with much of the plan already in fieldwork or reporting, including a few reports being issued this week. We remain on track and to complete the plan by March of next year. On operational excellence, our auditor utilization is tracking to our 75% target, both fieldwork to issuance and overall project life cycle improved versus last cycle, and both remain in line with the benchmark standards. I'm also pleased to report that all our quality assurance program related items have been completed. We provided an update in December, and those items have been completed. So I want to kind of give a big shout out to the team to make sure from a quality perspective, our department is up to the standards. So I'll turn over to the observation scorecard. For 2025, NYPA had about 46 observations identified, and 54 are now closed. Every remaining observation is on track, and good news is there's no extensions which have been requested. On EH&S, 32 observations in 2025, 38% closed. Again, all remaining items are on track with no extensions. For 2026, we have no high-rated observations, open high-rated observations. So, I mean, just to kind of paint a high-level picture, the trend line gives you the fuller picture. Observation volume is down from 2024. Closure rates are holding, and we are closing by the due date. So we mean management is closing the issues on time, and that is sustained closure discipline. And this has been something we've been, working with senior management. I want to give a big thanks on their cooperation and their effort to bring these items to closure. So we'll jump on to our mission, vision, and values. Before turning to strategy, I want to just briefly ground us on our foundation. I just thought that this would be a good slide to remind in terms of how we inspired the team and how we have grounded ourselves with the overall NYPA's strategic vision. Our mission vision, and values are the constant against which we operate, and everything is measured against that. Our mission is to strengthen the organization's ability to create, protect, and sustain value. Our vision is to be a trusted partner in strengthening organizational health, and our values and it are grounded in independence, trust, diversity of thought, collaboration, impact, and strategic foresight. And this is how we shape the work we do. And our 4 priorities, which is at the bottom, and we'll get into it a little bit more, carry that into practice: innovating, aligning assurance, developing our people, and elevating reporting and communication with our stakeholders. And then our 4 priorities are what frames the rest of this morning. So before I jump into the strategic update, I want to, provide an update on the CAE communication. So this slide is the formal communication to the committee. I'm pleased to report that all IA standards have been fulfilled for 2026 year, which includes disclosing any impairments to objectivity, meeting with the board and senior management, and communicating results and internal quality assessments. And we've included the details in the appendix, which have been provided. So just to state it plainly, there's no impairments to our independence or objectivity to report. So before we jump into the deeper strategy, which Ken and Ignacio will come present, I want to just ground you and remind you in terms of where we stand. So when we presented our plan and our strategy in March, as you recall, we committed to coming back to this committee to show what is working and what we're delivering. And this slides begins that story. Our 4 priorities are delivering across 4 dimensions: efficiency, capacity, quality, people, and capability. AI and automation is letting the team deliver more assurance work in less time. Continuous auditing gives us coverage that runs year-round rather than once a year. We're moving from sample-based testing towards full population testing with analytics as the default. We are growing in-house expertise to meet NYPA's evolving audit needs, and these compound on each other. So more coverage, deeper testing, stronger in-house expertise. And the timing matters because NYPA asset base is expanding. Transmission in particular is expected to grow significantly over the next 5 years, and as well as nuclear, canals, renewable. The portfolio continues to grow. So building this capacity now is how we stay ahead of that growth. So with that, I will welcome Ken to this.
Before you jump there,
Yes.
Ken, just
Yeah.
go off script and talk to us a little bit. Okay?
Sure.
So as the leader of the group, what's your sense of, so we wrapped up 25, whatever your 25, 26 year wrap up feels good. 26, 27 is off to a good start. Team's in a good spot. Organization, anything you see that gives you pause, concern, you feel you're well positioned relative to all we've got going and all the rest. I mean, just editorialize a little bit.
Sure.
Have a bit of a conversation with us. I appreciate the scripted remarks, but yeah, always enjoy the conversation. So talk to us a little bit as to how things look from your seat, your perspective as the leader of the group.
No, I welcome the comment. So from my perspective, I think things are looking very positive and promising. I think we've established the foundation. So last year was more laying the groundwork, laying the practices, meeting the quality assessment requirements, looking to see how we can be more efficient. I think we're planning ahead is the more work as NYPA grows and how we're able to absorb some of that additional portfolios with the rigor it needs. So that's sort of from my perspective is people obviously is important and making sure we have the right folks who have the right expertise. Another aspect is subject matter expertise within the team. So we're trying to build that and move away from co-source and other outside service providers.
Right.
So we're instituting a lot of the knowledge in-house so we can be successful in these domains. So for example, nuclear and renewable is an area which we haven't done a lot of audits in. So that's where I will be investing a lot of the resource and time to make sure we're able to, do that work when we are, when we're, obviously as the NYPA's portfolio moves.
And you're comfortable that at this point, you've got the resources and time you need to make those investments? Your plan, and from what you can tell, appropriately anticipated, additional different resource needs. You feel good about, where you are?
I think right now we feel good where we are. I think we'll, as we mature our program, we'll assess, whether it makes sense to maybe, bring in more in-house resources or keep some of the outside service providers. So that's been sort of the challenges, a lot of the work, which is, things which we can do on our own.
Right.
We are still looking to the outside service providers to help us. So there might be an opportunity
Give
to.
us an example of that.
So I would say, we're doing a reconciliation type of an audit, right? We're looking at, system A and system B, and we're looking at, whether the accounting is appropriate or not. That's something which I think we can do in-house, and we can, use analytics, we can use AI, but areas such as cybersecurity or renewable, where or things which are in the safety side, where we have folks who actually go on the field, that's where there's that need.
Okay.
Yep.
Because this is your second full year now in the seat?
About this, yeah, reaching the second year, yes.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Ken Lerman.
Thank you, Solomon. Good morning, Chairman, trustees, NYPA colleagues, and public. I'm Ken Lerman, the Director, Internal Audit Technology. Aside from my audit responsibilities, though, I'm leading the innovation strategy. I'll take the innovation priority that Solomon just spoke about and introduce what we're producing in practice. The innovation story follows along the top of the slide. This is the work we've done is freeing up hours. Those hours are funding new capacity. That capacity lets us test more deeply, and it frees us up for what's next at NYPA. I'd like to start out with the efficiency that we've accomplished to date using our AI prompt library and other automation tools. The team has saved about 300 hours year to date. That time is already saved by making routine tasks and drafting documentation faster. Sorry, excuse me. The key point here is we're reinvesting those hours back into our audit work.
What percentage of your time does that represent, Ken?
Overall,
Yeah, the 300.
it's
Is that one quarter? You said year to date. Is that the audit quarter, or is that the?
That's year to date, January to June, right? So it's 6 months. It's
So it's like 10 hours a week, for the whole team. It strikes me as a little low, but.
Right, and so we're really early in the process. Like January is when we really started building out our prompt library. We're saving roughly, between 10 and 20 hours in audit, which we will grow further as we mature the strategy. We expect to save significantly more.
Okay.
All right, so we are using the hours, though. We've already started investing in focusing on continuous audit projects. Those projects use automated analytics to monitor controls and risks. Unlike traditional audits, which give us a snapshot at a point in time, we're actually, the continuous audit allows us ongoing insights and help us spot improvement opportunities sooner. This approach makes our audits more efficient, covers more ground, and delivers faster, more useful insights for NYPA. We have 2 continuous audit use cases live. That's metering and generation and billing. Both could be used to monitor on an ongoing basis. This is recurring assurance that, expands the ground we cover. On the quality side, using some of the hours, we could focus more on full populations in our audits. That's going to be the default. Those are analytics-driven coverage, so we're not doing just testing sampling. That makes our conclusion stronger and our audit coverage deeper. I'd like to point out down here as an enabler for our reporting and communications pillar. They're using our technologies to have operationalized 62% of our metrics. It's saved another 150 hours this year, just on the time it takes us to put together the metrics. We used to have a meeting to talk about how we were doing. That's all done outside and automated now. So those hours are turning into faster decisions. And then we have the payoff. As we grow and build, the capacity we're freeing up is being reinvested into NYPA's New Frontiers. That's the nuclear renewables area. It'll allow us more advisory type reviews. Those reviews are critical in assessing new large initiatives at NYPA as our portfolio evolves and grows. So here's the value we're adding back to the business. The stakeholders will save time through our efficiencies by using less time in responding to audit requests. In addition, our continuous audit tools can be leveraged and enhanced by the business for their own use and insights regarding their operational efficiencies and control health. Is there any questions on so far? Okay. So these are the early steps. As I pointed out, we spent last year pretty much planning. This year is all about execution. There is a roadmap to take our innovations further, and the foundation and the value is already measurable. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'll hand it over to Ignacio to talk about our talent.
Yeah, obviously, we look forward to hearing, the benefits of this as it progresses and, goes. So,
For sure.
yeah, the more you can bring in-house and the more expertise, we have, the better. So, super.
With AI, next time it'll be a virtual me up here talking.
We'll take you. All right.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. Good morning, trustees, senior management, NYPA colleagues, and members of the public. I'm Ignacio Bullrich. I'm a director of internal.
Somebody needs to.
I need to do the clicker. There we go. As part of my role, I am responsible for leading the talent strategy for internal audit. So today I'd like to share an update on what we aim to achieve, the progress that we've made, and an initiative that we're starting to further strengthen our capabilities in the audit department. To center this, our approach is to ensure that we have the right people with the right skill sets to help deliver value to NYPA. And to do that, we're focused on 3 priorities: building an environment where people want to come and join and stay, developing the capabilities that we need to meet NYPA's objectives, and then creating clear pathways to develop our team for future leadership roles, both within the audit department as well as across NYPA. So to help illustrate our progress, I'll draw your attention to the top portion of the slide, where we measure a few indicators. The first is retention. We're at 95%. This reflects our ability to keep a highly skilled workforce in a competitive market. Our engagement score, the most recent survey showed a 7% increase compared to 2023. This signals stronger satisfaction, greater engagement from our team, and greater connection to our mission. And then the third is upskilling. Our auditors have about 50 hours of training annually. About 30% of that is dedicated to AI and data analytics. And as Ken highlighted in his update, the investment in analytics and AI enabled tools only delivers value if we know how to use them. So we've intentionally aligned our training focus to those innovation efforts. We also support leadership and technical skill training for our auditors based on their specific needs. This emphasis strengthens our ability to address emerging risks and increase our audit efficiency. Together, these scores show that we have a solid foundation to support NYPA's objectives. Building on that foundation, I'd like to share an initiative that we're piloting within the department, Center of Excellence Lead Program. The program is intended to create leadership opportunities for our staff by allowing them to deepen their subject matter expertise and be able to influence management organizational practices beyond just the individual audits that they work on. So the COEs will support the annual audit planning process, audit scoping, control evaluation, and interaction with senior leadership. So as you can see on the bottom portion of the slide, the cyber, third-party, environmental, health and safety risk domains are already live. We have a few others on the table that we're looking to consider over time. Those three were selected because they represent significant risks to NYPA, and they're aligned with themes that we've identified as part of our audits. With this initiative, we're looking to strengthen our long-term capabilities, and as Salman mentioned, reducing our reliance on external specialists. So before I close, I'd like to recognize and acknowledge a few members of the audit team: Matt McCaffrey, Nadira Chiliast, and Jeff Horning for taking on the COE lead roles. And a special thanks to Ray Corona, because he helped us put this program together and develop it. So thank you, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
They're playing off retention. So in terms of having the team you want, are you at capacity, or you have open seats?
We do have a few open positions.
The recruiting effort, you know, what's your ability to?
We brought on one person this year, right?
Right.
We're also engaging contingent workers to help stopgap and not rely as much on consultants. And I think we have two open positions, one for our business intelligence and another auditor.
Are we what position well enough to compete? I mean, I don't know what the supply demand, mix is. Do you feel as though we have what you have what you need to compete for the right talent? Are we winning or losing, more of the bids, or what?
I can take that. We just posted the position, Chairman. So one position is for somebody who really heads the AI analytics innovation strategy. So all thing technology, and that's, I think, one thing, we actually are just posting the role. So we're getting some good candidates. It's a very, good market, I would say.
But you feel we're competitive in the marketplace, or?
I think so. I think we're competitive in terms of.
You feel good about that?
Yes. I mean, we recently I don't know if it's on. We recently changed our benchmarking strategy so that each discipline within job families are aligned specifically to the market-based pay. We have had good success in attracting folks, and with the requirement to post good faith estimates, folks are aware of our salaries, and we are getting significant applicants on almost all of our roles.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we have had some good pipeline in the yeah. So.
And in terms of engagement, what are the absolute numbers there? Do we move from 45 to 52 or 75 to 82?
If I recall correctly, we went from like 72 to 79.
Okay, and how does that compare to the organization overall?
It's on par.
Okay, so
I think the organization was somewhere in between.
The same zone?
Yeah.
So you're moving with the right general tide? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, and the Center of Excellence, obviously, that's great, as we, talked earlier. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
All right, there was no vote necessary, but I want to thank Salmon for bringing his team in today. Thank you very much. The consent agenda is now before the members for adoption. I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next meeting of the audit committee is scheduled to be held on Tuesday, December 8th. I ask for a motion to close the meeting.
So moved.
There's a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much.
The meeting is now in progress. Please unmute your microphones to begin the meeting.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is, I think, our annual NYPA Captive Insurance Company board meeting. So great to be with everyone. I'm pleased to be joined today by B. Gonzalez, Cecily Morris, Michael Cusick, Louis Warren, and Lori Wheelock. Trustee Trainer has been excused and will not be present today. As you can see, we're also joined by Justin and the NYPA and Canal staff. As always, this meeting's been duly noticed as required by open meetings law. And with that, I'm pleased to call it to order. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review the agenda, and I ask for a motion unless there's any thoughts or recommendations for changes as presented. All right, thank you. Okay, Louis, appreciate that. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Andrew Nagro will walk us through our corporate resolution of 90+ pages to ensure we all did our homework. And if there's a quiz at the end, those will always be interesting. So Andrew, take us away.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Directors of the Captive Insurance Company, colleagues at NYPA, and members of the public. Okay, so we're here today for the annual board meeting of the Captive Insurance Company, which is required under the bylaws of the company, as well as Department of Financial Services regulations and state law. To begin with, I just wanted to give a brief overview of the current status of the captive. As the board remembers, we began commencing underwriting our insurance policies in September of 2023. So it's been about 3 years. There was a lengthy startup process, but we received our licensing in July of 2023 and started underwriting policies in September. Since then, we've underwrote TRIA certified MBCR policy. TRIA stands for Terrorism Risk Insurance Act. MBCR stands for Nuclear, Biological, Chemical, Radiological, and Cyber Terrorism. That policy has an aggregate limit of $500 million. And importantly, the federal government would, in case of a claim, which God forbid, hopefully will never happen, the federal government has an 80% backstop. So it's a no-brainer of a policy with the federal backstop. The reserves that were used for that policy also are used to underwrite several other policies. The captive has also underwritten since then a on our $500 million NYPA property policy, a deductible reimbursement policy of $10 million. I apologize, the $65 million cyber policy, our underlying cyber policy, is now $70 million. I want to point out, this is important, because before the captive, we had $50 million in coverage through the open market. Since then, we bumped up the policy, the underlying policy, with Aegis and EIM, which are our underlying carriers in our tower, to $65 million, and then this year, $70 million. The captive helped us do that. We bumped up our deductible and the underlying policy to $5 million. It was originally $2.5 million, which helped us pay for the increased coverage on our underlying policy. So we're paying ourselves into the captive that difference, and we're also affording ourselves formal evidence of coverage, whereas previously our deductible did not have formal evidence of coverage. So it's one of the ways the captive has helped us. Now, we also have underwritten on our underlying $100 million GL policy, a $4.8 million portion of our $5 million deductible. And on the canals policy, our canals property policy, we've taken a significant portion of the tower. We took $19.8 million SIR and put it into the captive. So basically, the premiums paid to date in the last 3 years into the captive have been roughly $28 million. That represents a cost savings to NYPA, because instead of paying that money to the open commercial market, we're paying it into our reserves. That also helps us fund future policies that are required. You know, we have to have a certain, based upon the actuarials, we have to have a certain amount of reserves for DFS to approve our policies. So that money will, as we build up our capital reserves, we'll be able to ensure more programs through the captive. Now, as far as the captive, one of the other benefits of having the captive is I believe it enhances our ability to negotiate our commercial policies. When the underwriters, and I just came back from the Aegis conference, which is our main carrier, when they see that we have a captive and we're willing to put in policies into our captive, they see that we have confidence in our risk tolerance level, our programs, our safety programs. So it makes negotiating easier. They also understands that if they don't give us the best possible deal, we may put certain lines into the captive. So it helps us also when we're negotiating with our commercial carriers. Now, The increased,
Is our D&O insurance with, I mean, our D&O insurance isn't in with the cap?
our D&O insurance is not with the captive. It's with the commercial tower. Unfortunately, under New York state law, D&O coverage, captives are not able to underwrite D&O coverage. So we have to look to the commercial market for D&O coverage. But our extra reserves, we're looking to basically cover uninsurable lines of coverage we can't get coverage for now, such as transmission coverage, hydroflow coverage, and excess GL and catastrophic coverage. As everybody sees in the news, there's a plethora of wildfires throughout actually not even the country, throughout the world right now. While New York is still rated as a low risk for wildfire, things have been changing with the climate and what's happening. So we're looking at bumping up our catastrophic coverage, especially for wildfires.
On the terrorism policy, just to clarify the point and the question. So we're covering 20% because of the 80% federal backstop.
Correct.
So we're up to $2.5 billion. So we're covered up to a $2.5 billion incident. 20% of the 2.5 would be 500. The federal government picks up, you know, the differential. Am I doing my math right there?
No, we have 500 million in total coverage for MBCR coverage. And the federal backstop, if the captive had to pay out, say, a whole 500 million, then the federal government would pick up 80% of that.
So they just pay 80% of the 500.
Correct.
So 500 million doesn't sound like, I mean, relative to the exposure and the dollars we have invested, it's a big number, but doesn't sound like a relatively big number. Help me with, is 500 the max we can get, or was that a conscious decision to?
No,
That's
it's the
adequate
max we
exposure.
can, so it's the max we can get based on what is capitalized in the captive.
Okay,
So when we started with 100, the most we could get off of 100 is 500.
okay,
But, you know, again, if you think about it in terms of what Andrew just said, right now, we have 70 million of cyber coverage. But here, if we had a cyber event greater than 70 in the up to 500 million, and they could show that it was either an act of terrorism or from a enemy state event, now all of a sudden we go from 70 million to 500 million coverage, which we would not have had otherwise.
and I get that. I'm merely questioning the computation of, or calculation of 500. It sounds like it's a big number, but I have no idea,
Right, so we're
of knowing
limited,
if
we're
it's
limited,
adequate.
we're limited in terms of what we can put up as our share. So if we only have 100 million in the captive, that gives you a $500 million possibility because we have to take the first 20% hit.
So if we have 200 million in the captive, we could get $1 billion?
Correct.
Well, I'm just saying, what decision, I guess I'm just trying to understand that decision. I'm not trying to challenge
No,
it.
I
I'm
mean,
just
when
trying
we-
to understand it. What's the exposure? I have no idea. If we have a cyber attack, what's the probability of 500 million versus $1 billion versus
Right.
2 billion? And how are we positioned? And what level
Yeah.
of risk are we effectively taking on, or should we be rethinking?
Sure,
That's my question.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, the original,
Andrew's gonna pick it up.
the
Okay,
original, the original 500 million was based upon our initial feasibility study, which Marsh McLennan did for us when we formed the captive.
Right.
It was thought based upon the feasibility study, 500 million was a good dollar figure to start out with. As you indicated, a chemical or biological or radiological event, it'll probably exceed that.
Yeah.
Me as an
That's what I
insurance professional, I always like to have as much insurance as possible, but we have to weigh that with the cost and with our ability through, as Adam indicated, the amount of reserves we have. We can look at, as we build up our reserves even further, bumping up that layer of 500 million. But the 500 million was a good starting point, and it was based upon the feasibility study that we originally had performed when we set up the captive.
Yeah, I'll accept what was done. I'm merely saying as the world continues to blow up around
Right,
us,
so,
the threat level was ratcheted up significantly from September of 2023. Should we be in a different spot? That's my
so if
question.
we continue to increase the reserves as we've been doing, in the next few years, or even, next year, we could bump the number up. And if we get to 200 million in reserves, we'll get to that $1 billion coverage.
What stops us from getting to 200?
Cash. I mean, we
Well,
have.
So that's a conscious decision we need to
Yes.
make. That's all I'm
Yes.
asking. I guess,
Because once you tie it up in the captive, you can't really take that money back,
I
right?
get
So
it.
what we can afford within reason to tie up, that was determined at that time, something we could do without affecting our capital program and other obligations that we have. So we're trying to balance, right, all of this, because once you put money in there, you have to cut it from somewhere else.
well, I'd ask you to bring that back to us.
Sure.
I mean, it's the old, okay, we can't afford to put more in, but we can less afford to pay for a more significant, incident. So probabilities and, all the rest of that.
Right.
I would just like,
Sure.
to see some evaluation or suggest that ought to be an annual refresh that comes back to us
Absolutely.
as part of this. So
Sure.
we understand how challenging you're thinking, but I think we ought to at least understand it.
Sure,
Because if
absolutely.
it ever hit the fan.
Yep.
And it was $1 billion or $2 billion incident, and well, back in 26, we, didn't want to put in an extra 100 million, so we're gonna pony up 2 billion. I mean, I'm just trying to make sure it's thoughtful on our part.
Yeah, we'll have
Okay?
Marsh refresh their initial analysis and come back to the board with a recommendation if there needs to be an adjustment.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Mr. Chairman.
Louis.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to, push on the theme. So Marsh, so there's an independent evaluation of the limits on the property policy, general liability. So Marsh or someone has looked at each of the individual avenues that the captive is insuring to do a reasonability test or
Right.
something, right?
Yeah, and I also think, I don't know, Andrew, comment on this, but there are other policies that could kick in depending on the nature of the event. So this is, specifically for what's available under that, that cyber NBCR type of an event. But if that also had damage to our facilities, we could also tap our $500 million property insurance policy, which, would add to that.
And which is all I'm asking for,
Yeah.
is that kind of comprehensive evaluation.
And how do you make a determination, Andrew and Adam, what goes into captive, what is bid out commercially? I'm just curious, what type of analytics goes into that?
Yeah, it's a cost benefit decision. It's what's available in the market to us versus what's in the market if we were to use a captive. And if we can get more coverage with the captive and get a lower, premium or deductible, we'll go that route. If we're not seeing the benefit in the market, or for statutory reasons or DFS reasons, we're not allowed to use the captive for it. So for example, health insurance, we can't use the captive for health insurance. There are certain things you can and cannot do based on the DFS regulations.
Yeah. That's interesting. And Andrew, I know, I suspect you're following it. There's a hospital, a public hospital in Long Island that's gotten in trouble with its processes, procedures, auditing of its captive. You're aware of that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I would just ask, as an addendum to the chairman's query, that for our next meeting, we sort of talk about that a little bit. So we are fresh on how you think about auditing your entire program and process and procedures. Now, fortunately, this is from a legacy program, but it has, as Andrew knows, it's been in the paper every day, Newsday, every day for the last 2 weeks.
As you indicated, it's legacy. DFS, which is the Department of Financial Services, looks at before we issue any policy,
Okay.
looks at our reserves, looks at the program, and has to give us express permission before we issue policies.
Yes.
We also have to have a requirement, which you'll see a little further on in the presentation. We have our financials audited by KPMG, and we're required every year to file those audited financials with Department of Financial Services. I think there's good protections and backstops from us getting into that position. Just circling back to how we figure out what we should insure and the amounts. I work on a daily basis with our subject matter experts, Marsh, Willis Towers Watson, McGriff, our actuarials, to see in accordance with our risk tolerance levels and our capital,
what we should be insuring, if we should be increasing term limits, the cost benefit analysis of whether we should be putting the policies into the captive or into the commercial market. So it's a daily analysis, and we work on based upon benchmark and feasibility studies. It's just not picking, numbers out of the air. There's a lot of benchmarking and analysis that goes into it.
And I respect that. I'm just saying the big ticket items are I think we ought to have the benefit of seeing that at least at a high level. Back to the risk tolerance, this is a more risk averse organization than not. So I'm just trying to understand how we're applying
Sure.
that in this situation, how much risk we're absorbing. And
Certainly.
what we think it is, and want to make sure, while I respect Marsh, that's a decision we make as an organization. We're certainly not going to hand that off to Marsh.
Absolutely.
And so I just want to ensure that, our fingerprints figuratively at least are, on it by, making sure we understand.
100%. Just to circle back to the TRIA, that's only new NBCR. We have standard TRIA through our commercial property policy. And again, that's $500 million in coverage.
So whatever that stack would be, back to Adam's point earlier, exposure, where we're covered and what our real risk is and what it would take. As I said, we got in finance, we got $3.5 billion that we're earmarking for transmission, all right, over the next 10 years. So I go, okay, $3.5 billion versus 500 million. All right, there's a lot of exposure there. There's a bit of a gap. What gap coverage? So I'm just trying to put all that in context to make sure that it isn't just big numbers like, whoa, we got a lot, we're in a good spot. Depending on what blows up or what's done or undone. I just want to make sure we have the benefit of your
course.
thoughts and thinking and the expertise you
And,
bring.
and I think it'll be a good exercise. And just one last thing on the TRIA and BCR. Before 2003, we never had coverage for it. Now we have 500 million in coverage.
I get it.
Yeah, and also
I get it.
the fact that.
You don't have to defend. I'm not, I'm not accusing. I'm just trying to make sure
No,
we
certainly.
better
And
understand.
then we look out the landscape, right? Because we're a quasi-public entity or public authority for a variety of events, we have the ability to get FEMA reimbursement where private entities cannot. So that's an additional benefit of NYPA that our, peers in the for-profit world do not have available to them. So we take that into consideration too, under all the different events that could happen.
Sure. Okay, point made. So, I don't want to wait till this time next year for that. So if you guys can figure out how you can come back to us as part of an upcoming meeting and
Maybe we'll do it at one of the
Just-
risk meetings.
inform and educate what's happening, that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So no implication it isn't happening, just need to better understand it.
Be happy to.
Okay,
Makes sense.
Thank you, sir.
Chair, we have a risk meeting coming up in September. Maybe that would
Sure.
be timely.
yeah, that'd be great. Does that make sense to everybody? Am I making sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, Andrew, keep rolling.
All right, thank you. Just moving on. Again, as we pointed out, in order to comply with state requirements, the captive insurance companies required to provide its unaudited financial statements to DFS by March 1st of every year. We then are required to have those financial statements obviously audited. KPMG is our auditor, which was approved last year by the board. And then we're required every year to provide those audited financial statements to DFS by June 30th, which again, we've timely done this year as we've done in the last 3 years.
Okay,
So basically, we're asking the board to approve its annual resolution for housekeeping purposes. The resolution, which is before the board, again, as in past years, ratifies the actions of the captive officers since the inception of the captive. It reappoints the corporate officers, including the president, the chief financial officer, the secretary, and the treasurer. Those officers will remain the same as they've been in past years. It reappoints our service providers, our captive manager, which is Marsh, our financial auditor, which is KPMG, our actuarial, which is Marsh, and our 2 outside counsel, which is Denton's and Ora Carrington.
Are they players in this industry? I don't not that I know law firms, but I mean, how were they selected?
They were selected by our council, our NYPA council, based upon their extensive background with captives and corporate law.
Okay,
I would defer to our general counsel on that.
They're very large and very well versed in this area. They
Got
give us good advice.
okay.
The resolution also approves our annual business continuity and disaster response plans. Those are regulatory requirements from Department of Financial Services. And finally, the last 2 items, it accepts our actuarial report. We have had no claims, so the actuarial report is kind of sparse, which is a good thing. If it's not sparse, you'll see me sweating up here, but we've had no claims. And then finally, it just accepts the audited annual financial report, which was for the year end of December 31st, 2025. So again, we're asking that the board approve the annual resolution to that effect.
Before I make that motion, any other questions of Andrew? Everybody good?
So the actuarial opinion, which says, well, I didn't look at this because there isn't that, and I didn't look at this because we don't have, that's okay. Like where he says, I didn't review a certain number of things. I performed no verification on the data. What I think I'm hearing you is, it's because there's no data that we have to worry about. So
Correct.
the circumspect nature of the report is a good thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
That may change in future years, but right now it's a good thing. And
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, with that, I'd ask for a motion to approve all that Andrew's just recapped for us. Louis, thank you. Have a second. B, thanks very much. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks a lot, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Appreciate
Thank you,
your
board.
work.
Very thoughtful. We appreciate it.
Thank
Yep, thanks a lot. The only other item we have is consent agenda from our meeting of a year ago. The minutes have been included here, unless there's any questions reflecting on that action-packed session from 12 months ago. I'd be happy to take a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Lori, thank you very much. Second. Michael, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. With the notification of we'll pick up in risk some of what we chatted about earlier. Our next scheduled meeting is probably not scheduled, but it'll be a year from now, plus or minus. And with that, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting. Michael, thank you. B, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks again, Andrew.
Thank you, everybody.
The meeting is now live. Please unmute your mics to begin the meeting.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our July meeting of NYPA Trustees and Canal Corporation Board. Always great to be back in White Plains. Weather is reasonably cooperating. Storms are making their way across upstate New York. Hopefully the sun will shine again soon. Everyone's otherwise having a good summer. Pleased to be joined this morning, fellow trustees, B. Gonzalez, Cecily Morris, Michael Cusick, Louis Warren, and Lori Wheelock. Trustee Trainer's been excused. He's traveling and unable to be with us today. Justin Driscoll is here as well. We'll be joined later in the meeting by his team as well as other members of the Canal staff. As always, this meeting's been duly noticed as required by open meetings law, and hence I'm pleased to call the session to order. Everyone's had an opportunity to review the agenda. Unless anyone has any recommendations or changes, I'd ask for a motion to present the agenda, adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
All right, thanks, Cecily. Second, Laurie, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Contractors list, hopefully everyone's otherwise already confirmed and responded. Unless there's any late breaking changes, please advise Felisa. So we've got a good agenda again today. A number of great reports relative to all the good things that are happening across the organization. Our plate is full, but Justin and the team are navigating that on many fronts. A good update from the Canals team as well, as we're well into that season. But as we typically do, we'll start with an executive session. So if I could, I'd ask for a motion to conduct an executive session pursuant to section 105 of the Public Officers Law. Michael move, second, Lewis, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll adjourn to exec session and be back with you in half hour, 45 minutes. Thanks very much. Okay,
The meeting is now back in session. Please unmute your mics to begin the meeting.
Welcome back, everyone. If I could ask for a motion to resume the meeting in open session. Laurie, thank you. Second.
Second.
Louis, thank you very much. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. As always, reassure everyone, no votes were taken in executive session. As that, we've got a typically full and robust agenda ahead. Justin will kick us off. Joe Kessler. Good update on canals from Ben and Rebecca. Adam will bring us current on financial results. Alexis gonna take us through some of the current risk considerations, and then we'll close with a couple of our committee reports. So should be, I don't know, a good hour and a half ahead of us here. So Justin, lead us off, please.
Okay, well, good morning, Chairman, trustees, NYPA colleagues, members of the public. Great to be with you today for our July meeting. We're, as we've had in the past, we've been thinking about pursuing a theme for each board meeting. So we're going to do that again today. And the theme today is something that I think we're well known for, which is infrastructure. So we're going to be talking about some of the projects that we've advanced recently and some of the projects that are in flight and the impact that those transmission projects have on the overall system and on our responsibility to deliver clean energy across the state. And we feel like we're really leaning in heavily there, and one of the leaders at this time when we're expending considerable funds and making massive commitments to upgrade the transmission system, and NYPA is playing a leading role in all of that. I'll then talk a little bit about our renewables work and where we are there, the regular month board meeting updates on renewables, and then we'll speak a little bit about our advanced nuclear efforts and the work we're doing there. And then we will hear from Alexis Harley and Paul Farnan on the reporting that we do, the integrated report and the sustainability plan, and I'll tee that up for them. So as I said, our transmission infrastructure really serves as a backbone of the state, and it's really, if you think about it, it's actually the backbone of all of our other work too. So our transmission work enables the delivery of our clean generation across the state. It enables our power to be afforded to our economic development customers. So it's really critical to the work that we do, and the impact of that transmission work really shapes how we think about generation, how we think about customer, how we think about attracting new businesses to the state, retaining businesses. So as I've talked to you before about our Smart Path Connect project, you'll recall that Smart Path was the first piece of this. That's the green line you see there, which was an upgrade from 230 kV to 345 kV, but it was really missing a link in order to get that 345 kV down to Marcy. And at the same time, there's been a lot of wind development in the North Country, and we're having more power interconnections with Canada, and some of that wind power in the North Country was getting bottled up and not being able to be delivered across the state, which given the investments in renewable energy, you don't want to build these projects and then not have the electrons be able to get out of the North Country. So this was our first priority transmission project application to the Public Service Commission that you'll recall we were granted, and we did it in partnership with National Grid, owning that bottom piece, the bottom orange piece, and then NYPA building the northern piece, so that we now have connectivity and have power flows across that region. And as you can see from the slide, it unlocked almost a gigawatt of generation over that 200-mile corridor with the original Smart Path and now Smart Path Connect. And most importantly, in this era of affordability, it saves $438 million for ratepayers because of the the relief that we provided in the way of congestion charges that would otherwise be on ratepayer bills. So huge project that benefited the state, and we're proud that we were able to energize it a couple of weeks ago. So it's in service now. And obviously, you know, as part of the overall grid function and reliability, it's playing a critical role in moving clean energy electrons around the state. Great partnership with National Grid, obviously with organized labor, and probably most importantly, with all the communities that we interact with. Without the local community support, Trustee Morris will recall when we were up for the energization in the North Country, you know, we can't forget to thank the communities that put up with the disruption during this work and see the benefits for the system in getting behind it. So great community support. And we have a short video on SmartPath, which hopefully we can view now.
In 2026, we're celebrating an important milestone for New York and the Power Authority. The SmartPath Connect transmission project is now complete and fully energized. This 100-mile upgrade in the North Country and Mohawk Valley strengthens our state's clean energy future and supports the goals of our Vision 2030 renewed strategic plan. SmartPath Connect brings real benefits to New Yorkers. The project is expected to deliver approximately $438 million in annual benefits, including monthly savings on electric bills for households and businesses. By reducing costly transmission congestion, it helps make New York's energy system more affordable, reliable, and resilient. The upgraded system unlocks 1 gigawatt of renewable energy, moving clean power to where it's needed. This project, a joint effort by NYPA and National Grid, included upgrading 100 miles of transmission, building 4 new substations, and improving 6 others along a route that spans Clinton, Franklin, St. Lawrence, Lewis, and Oneida counties. SmartPath Connect is an investment in New York's clean energy future, a boost for our communities, and a proud step forward in our Vision 2030 renewed plan. This summer, we celebrate what's been achieved and the brighter, cleaner future it makes possible.
Could you just educate us for 60 seconds on the 438 million? I mean, that's an astounding number.
Yeah, I mean, it's the result of
Who's paying what charges? I mean, how that's.
So basically on your bill, when energy supply is constrained, additional payments have to be made in order to be able to deliver that power through congested areas. So those congestion charges end up on ratepayer bills. And so as we can unbottle and alleviate that congestion through having more voltage on the transmission system from 230 to 345 and being able to reach out and branch out into other parts of the North Country, we're able to take those congestion charges off the system. They no longer need to be paid in order to move power out of that region, and that results in benefits to ratepayers.
And that's a benefit to all of our ratepayers, all of our customers, or selected, limited?
It'd be all of our customers based upon the way that charges are made. Yep.
Every ratepayer.
Yeah.
Every ratepayer.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure. So collective benefit.
Yeah.
So while it's a targeted geography, it's a broad-based benefit.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's continuing on the transmission theme, a couple of other interesting examples of our work and how we're impacting improvements to the system. We know of the Champlain Hudson Power Express being recently energized, and we played an interesting role there in connecting the final piece of that line from the converter station at our Astoria facility into the actual Con Ed grid in the system. So played sort of a last mile role there, and that line is going to have tremendous impact on New York City in the future. And then also Propel New York Energy, another NYSO solicitation that we were successful in being awarded by the NYSO. We're doing that again in partnership with the private sector, New York Transco, and Propel is in the final stages of the regulatory process. And we're excited about the role that project will play as well in providing movement between Long Island and Westchester and the Bronx of power, and also for Long Islanders, undergrounding high voltage transmission. So there's a resiliency benefit for Long Island residents as well. So really exciting project there that shows I guess just the statewide span of our operations: North Country, Long Island, Westchester, the Bronx. So bringing our transmission expertise across the state to further enhance the grid and reliability of the system. So a lot going on in transmission, but we also have other lines of business, if you will, here. One area where we're heavily focused is on our renewables authority that we received in 2023. As we've talked to you about in the past, we have over 6 gigawatts of projects in the system, if you will, at various stages of review and development. Individual projects, 42 projects, and some of those are made up of portfolios of a number of projects that have been the result of developers either coming to us, wanting to partner with NYPA, or projects we've identified, ourselves. But there's a lot going on in the renewable space, as we've talked about before, with the expiration, sunsetting of some of the tax credits. So we've been hard at work over the last 6 months in trying to safe harbor as many of those projects as we can, trying to bring NYPA's expertise and potential financial contributions to projects to make sure that they continue to advance through the system, and we don't have a lot of attrition of renewable projects based upon the loss of the federal tax credit. So we were fortunate in this last legislative session to receive $100 million from the legislature to help us with our renewables work, and we had received $200 million last year. So trying to deploy those funds in order to advance as many renewables projects as we can with co-development opportunities or with greenfield projects that NYPA will develop on its own. A couple of highlights here in renewables. We recently received a building permit for the 5 megawatt Hanacroy Solar Reach project, which will provide benefits to disadvantaged community residents. So excited about advancing that project. And lastly, on the renewables front, you'll recall we do a conferral process under the statute, and we're kicking off the next conferral process, which helps us to receive input from stakeholders across the state. Helps inform the development of our next year's strategic plan that we'll be preparing to demonstrate our commitment to this work. And so folks that are interested in participating in this year's conferral process can learn more by visiting nypa.gov/conferral-process. Moving on.
Before you
Yeah,
jump,
sure.
back it up there, give us your editorial on where we find ourselves or where the renewable world finds itself today versus what was anticipated a year or two ago. The economics, the political landscape, there's been a lot of shifting. So what's your crystal ball tell you as you look ahead here in terms of challenges, opportunities, who's stepping up, who's pulling back, editorialize a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think, given that the tax credit expiration occurred on July 4th, I think we're still looking at what the fallout from that will be. I can tell you we continue to receive opportunities from developer partners, and projects are being brought to us for NYPA participation. So I could see a scenario where NYPA's role increases even more to be able to fill any gaps created there. So I think there are going to be opportunities for us over the next 6 months. We'll be able to really shake out what projects we can advance with NYPA assistance and what projects kind of become available, because there are developers that, in the face of the loss of the tax credits, are reconsidering whether they want to continue with the project. So those could be opportunities for us to step in when the private sector potentially, is falling away, that's when there are opportunities and roles for NYPA to play as a governmental entity.
So bigger picture, the private sector trend is
It's definitely in flux. It's
Okay.
definitely in flux.
I was pausing.
Yeah, I don't know that one would think that it's going to, that there's going to be a fall off in private sector development just because of the numbers, but we'll see.
And that creates opportunity for us to further step in with the benefit of additional funding that's been provided at it,
Correct.
et cetera. So,
That's how we're looking at it.
okay.
And we'll keep you posted throughout the rest of the year as the results of the expiration become more apparent.
Okay. Thank you.
And so the other big, as I talked to you last time, the other big rock is the nuclear work that we're advancing. A lot going on there. We've done a lot since Governor Hochul made her announcement 1 year ago. Believe it or not, that announcement in Niagara was a year ago, and we've been hard at work over that last year. And
It was a hot day. I remember that.
it was very hot. It was very hot. We've talked to you about this before, but we started off with the RFIs for community interest and also for developer interest. The developer interest RFI has now sort of resulted in an RFQ that we've put out for developer interest. We've heard from almost everybody in this business, very impressed with the responses of the RFQ. I think we've already talked to you about the workforce initiative. Of course, you approved the $40 million and how we're working there through our workforce development efforts that are informed in some ways from the workforce development efforts that have been underway in renewables over the last few years. So we've got a good template there as we launch nuclear workforce. We've also built out the team, as you know, with Todd Josefowski's addition and Chris Hansen coming to us from the NRC, and now Deanne Cameron, who comes to us from the Nuclear Energy Agency, part of OECD in Paris, and she just started this week. So a lot going on in terms of the build out of the team, which will continue. We've got a couple of other solicitations out there to build out the team even further. And we'll also be working with NYSERDA and DPS on the master planning process that they're doing for advanced nuclear. So working with them on what that entire ecosystem of nuclear will look like across the state. And that'll include workforce, supply chain, and the additional goal that the governor set in her state of the state of 4 additional gigawatts of nuclear over time in the state to serve as the backbone of baseload generation.
How's the dynamic with Ontario? I mean, with the ebbs and flows of politics and all the rest of that.
It's been good.
Working relationship.
On the working level, yeah, it's great. And I think even at the executive level, it's good.
Right.
And we, as you know, we've got the MOU with them and we're learning a lot from how they worked on supply chain and workforce and technology selection. So there's a lot to learn there, but as I've said to you before, they're going to be first in North America on the building an SMR. So I think it's been mutually beneficial. And of course, we have a day-to-day relationship with OPG. So that's working very well.
Daniela, you're the only one in that picture that looks really happy. Did you have some inside information there or what? You're the only one that's really smiling.
She knew the camera was on her.
I think so. I think she's eyeballing that, so. Okay.
So we're just in terms of timing and all, we're thinking, we're pointing to selecting a host community and a technology by the end of the year. That's where kind of as we sit here today. So you'll get questions around, what's happening with the RFIs and RFQ, and our goal is to have an announcement by the end of the year. Okay.
And the year's not all that far away.
I know.
It used to sound like a long time, 5 months. So renewables, nuclear, a lot to come over these next few months.
And then keep moving on the transmission front and keep advancing Propel.
Okay.
And then finally, and Alexis, Harley, and Paul Farnan will speak to you more about this later in today's meeting, but two important documents. This iteration of the integrated report, 2025 integrated report. You'll recall we were one of the first utilities to launch an integrated report, which includes both sustainability components as well as financial performance. And then our 2026-2030 sustainability plan that the teams have been working very hard on. This is our fourth integrated report, and it offers a holistic view of how we performed and delivered value in 2025. And it brings together, as I said, our financial results, operational achievements, and strategic progress we've made across the organization. And that goes across the whole gamut: modernizing the grid, advancing clean energy projects, and supporting our customers and communities. And it's also aligned with the Vision 2030 Renewed, which is our North Star. And there's total integration there. And on the sustainability plan front, that reflects the same principles that have guided us here at NYPA: ingenuity, stewardship, and a deep commitment to the people of the state. And it captures just how sustainability has become really just the way we do business, and how we generate power, care for the over 100,000 acres of land that we control, waterways, and modernize infrastructure that keeps the state moving. And this 2026-2030 plan builds on that foundation and lays out a clear and ambitious path for years ahead, ensuring that we continue to lead as a trusted institution dedicated to reliability, public service, and sustainability. So just to summarize: Smart Path Connect, Propel New York, renewables, nuclear, a lot going on, but it all reflects really the same principles. We're modernizing the grid, we're enabling clean resources, we're preparing for technologies that safeguard reliability, and we do that in thinking with a long-term view, as we always have. So, with that, thank you, and I'm happy to take any additional questions.
What's the piece of property that warranted, they got double covers there, you know? They got, where's that photo?
BG. This is BG.
It is? Well, that one's, it's the same picture, right? All right. Pivoting from your theme, so we're halfway through the year. I mean, reflect, big picture, CEO seat, look back, how are we doing? Look ahead, what's keeping you up at night? Obviously, nuclear, all that, renewables, a lot going on, but just give us a general reflection, mid-year, thoughts and perspectives.
Well, I think we're off to a great start here in 2026. We've got a tremendous amount on our plate, and just trying to balance, I guess, the day-to-day work that's required of the teams to advance these projects, while at the same time making sure that we're taking a longer-term strategic view, which is necessary. And then also making sure we've got the right workforce and that they're positioned in the right way within the organization as we take on these new responsibilities. As I think we all agree, we've got tremendous talent here in the organization, a very deep bench, but making sure that we've got everybody positioned in the right way to maximize the skills and the talent they bring.
And we feel good about our ability to continue to build that capacity.
Absolutely.
Team and talent, intellectual, and otherwise. We can obviously see the financial story continues to trend very positively, but intellectual capital always lead with that. You feel good about our ability to attract, retain,
yes,
et cetera.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with the quality of the applications we receive across all the areas: transmission, renewables, nuclear, our day-to-day work. I think we're recognized as a leader, and people want to come and work here. So I'm encouraged by the talent we've been able to attract.
What keeps you up at night?
Are
you sleeping well? Maybe better said. Are you sleeping well, or is there anything that keeps you up at night?
The night before board meetings, I don't sleep well.
Come on. Come on, we're a fun group. I mean, come on. This banter, you have to look forward to this.
Well, obviously, we just came off,
Should I take that personally?
no, I don't think so.
I didn't sleep that well last night either.
No, you told me about it. I mean, coming off, we're still in the summer, but we came off a couple of, hot periods there. So, there's pressure on the system and we're a critical component of all that. So, making sure that our assets fully perform, and when they're needed is the kind of thing that we're known for, but we can't lose sight of with all these other things going on. People look to us on those hot days to make sure that we're ready to go and that everything is available. And so those are sometimes, sitting there refreshing the NYSO website all day, looking at, how
And
much.
you get Canadian smoke and everything else coming in.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm sure we'll pick up on that, but yeah.
Then I think that'd be it.
The
Yeah.
wacky events. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Justin,
well-
as an aside, when we were at the Smart Path launch, for lack of a better word, at the substation there, I think everybody, our trustees need to know how well represented NYPA was. There were people who were asking questions. Everyone there could answer those questions, did a great job answering those questions. There was nothing that couldn't be asked and nothing that couldn't be answered, and your staff was so exceptional and professional. And if I start trying to remember the names of everybody, I'm gonna miss somebody. So I don't want to do that. But being a trustee aside, just being a person looking at this project, listening to these people, I was like, wow, they are good. They are good at what they do. They represent us well. And it was so impressive. Not to mention them, it felt like Star Wars. When you look at this substation, you go, okay, this was something you only imagined, years and years. And
Yeah, well,
years ago.
thank you for
So
that.
I just was so impressed with
Yeah,
everybody.
thank you.
It was great. An honor to be there and share it with everybody.
Yeah, the team's great.
The team is great.
Anything else for Justin? I will help you sleep well tonight, Justin.
Yeah,
Okay, if you need to take a nap this afternoon. All right. All right, next up, Joe Kessler, Ops. G&T and more.
GNT and more. Actually, in keeping with the focus,
How'd you sleep last night, Joe?
I actually slept pretty good now that you mention it. Yeah, but I was yeah, but I was ready for the meeting, so we're good. So I'm prepared. I got it. My job's easy today because first of all, hello to everybody. The chairman, thank you for taking the time today to listen to our operations report, and the general public as well. But one of the reasons I slept so well is I'm going to be quickly turning this over to Patricia Lombardi, who's going to do most of the presentation on the infrastructure. So I have it easy today. So maybe that's why I did that. So, but I did want to just mention before we get started there, am I clicking here? That, just quick operational highlights, as Justin spoke about already. We did have a couple of significant heat waves already. We won't see the results from a financial standpoint, in this board meeting, because obviously these happened in July and that's all got to get settled. But we were there, as you point out, Chairman. The staff was ready. The equipment ran. We had a couple of blips in Southeast region, but everything all in all worked out very well. The two heat waves were primarily on July 1st through the 5th. And then the second one was July 13th through the 16th. And a lot of the congestion pricing that happens that Justin spoke about, that's when it happens. It's tough to get some of that energy downstate. But our assets were well positioned for this, and specifically BG, which did get double coverage in those report covers, did very well because it's the one asset we have that can really respond to the ebbs and flows effectively in those times. So interestingly, and you pointed out the smoke. And that second heat wave primarily, and I should go back in 2023, we have similar issues, right, with the smoke from the wildfires. And at that point, we had some policies and procedures in place about when do we notify our employees from a safety standpoint to stand down, to wear certain PPE and so forth. So that was well documented. We were able to leverage that good work we did in 23 to do that. But it also constrained a little bit of the solar generation in the state. From just being, just obscuring the view from those solar panels. So just another reminder of how significantly that low production throughout the state, how important it is to have a diverse supply chain of energy, which we were able to represent there. But we continuously during that process reported to the staff the conditions, and we use our policy actually refers to the EPA's, we've got a NAP called air now that gives the thresholds of where you are. And based on those thresholds, we give guidance, and our supervisors give guidance to the employees. There were days we literally had to stand down a lot of work to keep them safe. So we did that. But again, BG and the staff and everybody else provided a lot of flexibility, and the New York ISO was highly dependent on them throughout this process, and we delivered. We were there when they asked. The second thing I wanted to comment on was asset management. We are having an asset management summit, which is, I think for those who know, we've been now certified and recertified to the highest standard of ISO 55001 asset management. This is physical asset management. I know a lot of people think of the financial aspects. It does include that. It includes risk, includes a lot of other things, but it's really the physical asset management practices that we have as a utility. And we did a surveillance survey in Western New York just recently, and that went very well. So we're going to have another summit where we bring everybody together and just kind of remind people that, you know, we're here for the customers. These assets are here to provide the most value for them, and that we have to be the most responsible stewards of these assets using these processes. And that's been good for us, not only in putting a defensible maintenance strategy together, but it's also been good in the financial side in defending whether it's bonds or so forth, that we're being responsible, that we're not overdoing it, we're not underdoing it, we're trying to do the right thing by these assets. So we'll be having another summit to make sure that we're aligned for Vision 2030 renewed. And then we're constantly also working on our robotics capabilities and the exciting, cool stuff that we're doing there. We're having our third annual Fly Day. It's actually going on right now, today and tomorrow in Niagara Power Vista. This time we're actually bringing a number of other utilities along as well, and we're going to share ideas and share roundtables. I'll be there tomorrow to speak to them if travel is not constrained today and tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. But a lot of hands-on opportunity for staff too, to kind of get in touch and feel these things to see how they can do and how they can also keep us safe and productive using robotics to put a machine in place of danger instead of the humans. So very focused on ways we can leverage that technology as well. And then from a health and safety standpoint, we are continuing with some strong performance, a lot of new initiatives under Steve Rutledge's leadership. A lot of cool things are going on, but we're also very focused on bringing those barbecues back, which is basically going out there, kind of a stand down in each location at Canals and the New York Power Authority to talk about safety, just refresh everybody, have the supervisors be in front of everybody. I've spoken in front of them, Brian Sayas, Sal Rojas, the heads of a lot of the transmission generation assets, Dave Mellon, Rebecca, and others have spoken in front of these folks to just ensure them that they have the right to stand down, they have the ability to speak up and really encourage it, because people sometimes are very reluctant to do that. A lot more seasoned veterans you're with and so forth. I want to make sure that the newer people can speak up and that the veterans are accustomed to, responding to that. We also bring in a speaker. We had Lee Shelby. We've had him before. A lot of times we'll bring in a speaker who's been through, unfortunately, a very traumatic experience, but is willing to go out there and speak about that and understand the lessons, communicate the lessons learned that they have on it and the responsibility of the individual. Because in the end, all the PPE, all the process and procedures, at some point, the individual has to throw a switch or do a process. And so sometimes it's that last barrier before, and he just came out and reminded us of really the checks and double checks there. So again, with this campaign for zero is kind of our focus. I think Justin introduced that last a couple meetings ago. We're still doing that in the summertime and trying to get us, our target's always going to be zero, even though we have these other metrics that we measure, target's always zero. So these are just other initiatives that are helping us do that. And that'll be my report. I'll turn it over to Patricia if you, unless you have other questions.
For Joe before he steps down. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Trish?
Good morning, Patricia. I go by Patricia these days. Thank you, Joe.
Apologies.
No, good. I reserve Patricia for my mom. It's Trish these days. But good morning, trustees, NYPA leadership, NYPA staff, members of the public watching. Again, my name is Patricia Lombardi. I'm the SVP for project delivery for NYPA. As Justin mentioned, there's a tremendous amount of infrastructure work going across here at NYPA, at canals across the state. So it's just a good opportunity to kind of pick a couple projects from our portfolios and our customers and highlight them today. So Smart Path Connect, you probably haven't heard about it enough today, but I'd probably be remiss not to spend a moment acknowledging it. Thank you, Trustee Morris, for your support and your kind words there. It's been a challenging few years. We've been before the board on a number of occasions on this project, but as Justin highlighted, we're proud to say it's fully in service now, a great accomplishment for NYPA and National Grid. We're currently working through project closeout activities, restoration of land, so we're not quite done yet, but we're working through it. No rest for the weary, as Justin highlighted, Propel. So the teams at NYPA and our partners in New York Transco are hard at work advancing Propel. As Justin noted, permitting is advancing. Article 7 approval is targeted for this fall. Extensive stakeholder outreach continues, and engaging the communities really is a key part of keeping this project on track. Majority of the major contracts are already in place. The long lead equipment, including shunt reactors, phase angle regulators, cables, all the big stuff that we need, all those contracts are in place, along with the engineer procure construction contract for the substations. The final major contracts needed really cover the terrestrial work, and those are under negotiation right now. With permit approvals, marine horizontal directional drilling, which is required to start cable installation, is scheduled to start this fall. And on the slide, you can see a rendering of what one of the substations will look like. Design is still underway, so maybe things will move around a little bit, but that's generally what it looks like. And once permits are approved, construction should start on the substations next spring.
What's your confidence level on that Article 7 approval?
I think we're getting there, right? We've had some, hiccups along the way, but we're getting there. There's a really smart team at NYPA and Transco working really hard to engage all the regulators, all the communities, all the stakeholders, elected leaders, really putting as much into that public outreach. So I think we're getting to the end of that, and we feel confident that in the fall of this year, we will receive the approval we need to move forward. And the final transmission project to highlight today is the Uniondale Hub Substation project. This is one of the designated public policy projects that was identified when Propel was awarded. So NYPA, as the incumbent transmission owner, we own the existing Uniondale Hub Substation. So we confirmed the NYSO, we exercised our right of first refusal that we would indeed go ahead and move forward with these upgrades. The team is advancing very aggressively with this one. Again, major equipment is a key thing here. Phase angle regulators, shunt reactors. So with that, we placed our orders in 2024 with Smith and Hitachi, and the design is complete, key material ordered, and fabrication will start soon. The rest of the project is being delivered through an EPC model, engineer, procure, construct, with Elecnor Hawkeye as our prime contractor. Design is nearly 90% complete, and Article 7 is very close to final. Our environmental monitoring and construction plan is submitted to the DPS, and we're waiting final approval. And with that, which we are also confident we will receive, construction will start next month.
Oh, great.
Yep. A lot of hard work, a lot of work here to consolidate on one slide. So now we'll move to generation, another project not unfamiliar to the board, the Messina Canal Dam. This joint works project, which has previously been brought to the board twice before, a critical project for us to reduce infrastructure risk by improving the condition of really what is now a water impounding structure that sits at the intersection of the Messina Power Canal and the Grass River. And it supports our longstanding relationship with Ontario Power Generation. So construction on this project started in the spring of 2025. Phase 1 demolition, including asbestos abatement, is complete. Preparation for installing precast concrete bulkheads on the power canal intake structure is underway, including removing debris from the 1958 partial demolition, sediment dredging, core drilling for dowels, and a lot of other work. Additional demolition work, including asbestos abatement, filling in the voids, stabilizing the remaining structure, capping, regrading vegetation, is scheduled for future years, with substantial completion targeted for 2029.
The contrast in those photos is interesting.
Yes, another one that, right, Trustee Morris, you spoke on this one too. You kind of have to be there to really appreciate what this structure is. And it's kind of great. We worked really hard to get a drone out there very recently to give you, good perspective of a before and a current photo. Thank you. Next, we'll move to our canals portfolio. Ben and Rebecca are going to talk to you in a couple minutes here, but wanted to give you a little bit of an update on Madison Reservoir Dam. In January of this year, the board approved a major construction contract to rehabilitate this nearly 200-year-old dam. So while the dam doesn't really serve the canal anymore, the reservoir really provides an important recreational opportunity and community benefits, and it really requires significant rehabilitation due to its age and condition. So construction did start in April. Work is well underway. We've installed a sheet pile cutoff wall to abandon the existing auxiliary spillway. We've decommissioned the existing low-level outlet works, and we're carefully dismantling brick by brick the 1870s historic valve house, which will be relocated and reconstructed and serve as a seepage monitoring structure. Work is also underway on the new low-level outlet system, which includes new valve houses, inlet and outlet structures, and new pipelines. So once this work is completed and commissioned this year, the project will shift focus next year to demolishing the existing primary spillway, and we'll be constructing a new larger labyrinth spillway, a tongue twister there, but roughly double the size. And the right embankment will also see in a lot of work to be buttressed and regraded next year, and substantial completion is targeted for mid-2028. Now move to our customer portfolio. So we wanted to highlight some critical energy infrastructures happening with one of our key customers. This is New York City Housing Authority, or NYPA for short. You heard from Dave Work at our previous June Finance Committee, which is before the full board for a vote today, a suite of value contracts that help to deliver the energy services program, of which this is an example of one of the projects that's within that portfolio. Many NYCHA buildings rely on aging boilers, window air conditioning units, which are often inefficient, unreliable, well past their useful life. So at both 830 Amsterdam and the Woodside houses, we partnered with NYCHA to replace these systems with modern heat pump technology for both heating and cooling. At 830 Amsterdam, which is New York City's first public multifamily electrification retrofit, we installed centralized variable refrigerant flow heat pumps. Essentially, it's an industrial scale of a mini split unit you would commonly see. At the Woodside houses, we deployed the first installation of our new window heat pumps, which provide both heating and cooling. If you recall, a number of years ago, we've been through the board and there's been a couple of updates since. This is part of NYCHA's Clean Heat for All pilot, making it really one of the first large-scale deployments of its kind. And it's also one of the pilot sites for low-impact, full electrification of domestic hot water and heating systems for select NYCHA developments. Both sites now use high-efficiency heat pump hot water systems, improving reliability and reducing steam dependence. For Woodside, we designed a containerized hot water pod, which you can see on the slide, to simplify installation and reduce costs. The pod was built in Western New York, another notable accomplishment for the project. These projects lower operating costs for NYCHA. They improve resident comfort by basically putting temperature control into the hands of the tenants, modernizes building infrastructure, replaces end-of-life equipment, and eliminates on-site fossil fuel combustion at these facilities. And the last one here, we wanted to highlight an economic development infrastructure project made possible in part by NYPA's economic development programs. A $1.6 million Western New York Power Proceeds Award is supporting a $17 million project to build a modern, fully accessible, energy-efficient arena on the Canaan Center's 25-acre historic site in Lockport. Since the 1960s, the Canaan Center has grown from a community center really to one of the Buffalo Niagara's premier facilities for arts, recreation, and education. The new arena, which you can see a rendering on the slide, will replace an outdated structure and provide more flexible indoor space for concerts, conventions, community events. Key upgrades include new utility systems, energy-efficient HVAC, improved stormwater management, enhanced parking, enhanced accessibility, and additional green space. The facility is expected to operate more than 340 days a year, attract over 200,000 visitors, and generate $6 to $8 million in direct spending, directly supporting downtown Lockport's long-term economic vitality. And finally, we do want to acknowledge Maribel. Maribel is in the room, Eric Bowers, really between them and their teams that administer these programs, they really make projects like this viable in New York, really important projects. And with that, just thank you for the opportunity to present today and take any questions.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, great
Thank you.
recap. We spent a lot of time authorizing and approving funding, so it's a great drive-by and a great recap. what are your takeaways? We're just that much better, the more you throw at us, the better we get. What's your thoughts and thinking in terms of, I don't know, you do postmortems when these are completed and look back lessons learned. What else do you need to ensure, the successful completion of these projects? Anything else we as a board to ensure you've got the resources and support you need?
Yeah, appreciate that. I think we do spend a lot of time reflecting, right? Even frankly, what this portfolio looked like when I started at NYPA, however many years ago, it didn't look like this at all, right? And so I think,
Easily 200 million.
yeah, right. I
back
think
then,
we joke, at least on the utility portfolio was 200 million, right? Now combined, it's over $1 billion. So I think the team is really proud to represent all the portfolios, the generation, the transmission, supporting NIRED now, getting ready for nuclear, infrastructure at canals. So I think it's about attracting the right talent, keeping the right talent in-house. A lot of these projects are very complex. Joe spoke about safety, like it wouldn't look very good doing all these projects, so we're not doing it in a safe way and producing high quality. So I think it's about investing in staff, and I think pushing them is where we start to be innovative. We've done a lot of work trying to improve our process. We've invested in project management, technologies and softwares. We use drones. Like it's just such a different world of delivering projects these days than just the last couple of years.
The level of expertise in the executions. Laudable. There's no question about it, no matter how you slice it. So kudos you and your team, Joe, et cetera. It's Justin, very, very impressive.
Thank you.
So,
Patricia, did you get any feedback yet from the 830 Amsterdam project or the Wood side? Like, are they saying this is, so much better, so much different? Are you?
Yes, I
are
mean,
you even at that
yeah.
point yet? Okay.
We're close to that point. Amsterdam is done, right? We're moving through the Woodside houses, so not quite done, but it's been great feedback so far. I think what's really helped is that the teams put such a thoughtful approach together to do this work without impacting the residents so much, right? Try to get in and get out of there, also engaging the residents. They've done some of the work, right? Some of the local work there. So I think the feedback has been very positive, and NYCHA is always, right? Maribel's nodding in the back. NYCHA wants to do more, right? So I think we're looking to increase that partnership and, move as fast as both of us are able to move. So feedback's been great so far.
That's really, and just to pick up on Cecily's point, the partnership with NYCHA, a lot of people don't know NYCHA is the largest housing authority in the country, I think in North America. And so they have a lot of old stock as well. So this is a positive, powerful place where the power authority can be, upfront with the community, where they can see the improvements in real life.
Right. Yeah.
Fabulous. It's a fabulous showcase.
Absolutely. Thank you.
all right, Patricia.
Thank you.
Very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Louis.
Let's go.
We've referenced it a couple times. Canals update. We're in the middle of another canals season. Ben and Rebecca. I think Rebecca's going to kick us off.
Correct. Good morning, trustees, friends and colleagues across NYPA and Canal Corporation, and members of the public who have joined us today. Thank you for the opportunity to share some updates with you. Today, Ben and I will walk through how we are delivering on some of our key priorities under Vision 2030 Renewed. So beginning with securing resources and funding, we, for now the third year in a row, have secured $50 million in the governor's state budget. Again, this is for critical water impounding infrastructure and is a huge help to us as we seek to get the canal into a good state of repair, and beginning with projects like Madison Dam is a key priority for us. I'm also happy to share with you that we've secured a grant of $500,000 from the Susquehanna River Basin Commission. This is a highly competitive grant program. And this also goes toward Madison Dam, which, as Trish mentioned, is a $46 million project. And lastly, a really interesting grant that has been confirmed from the Mellon Foundation. Many of you are aware of the Medina Art Triennial. This grant of $195,000 will help us to construct an orchard on canal land that will contribute to placemaking and is part of our broader vision to help Medina turn back toward its waterfront and to encourage economic development through arts and culture.
Is that the Dave Mellon Foundation?
Different spelling,
Oh.
so we can't give him credit for that. On the next slide. Thank you. I also wanted to provide you an update on our tugboat fleet. In addition to this tug naming competition, we're also christening the tug Rome this Friday. Trustee Gonzalez will be with us there for that event. So that's always a nice gesture when we welcome a new vessel into our fleet. Our fourth and final tugboat is under construction, and we decided to use this as an opportunity to engage canal staff broadly to be part of making history, really. These tugs are going to be in service for a minimum of 50 years, as we found with the tug Syracuse, sometimes close to 100 years. So we've invited employees to propose names that are in line with our tug naming policy, either place-based, quality-based. What are the competencies, attitudes that define Canal Corporation and its staff, or named in honor of a historic figure who contributed to the Canal Corporation or to communities along its banks. So those submissions were due on July 24th. We had over 50 submissions. The naming committee is currently reviewing those, and we will bring a formal proposal forward to the board for consideration in September. Lastly, for me, I'm going to speak a little bit to respect and enjoyment for our resources. So this is the really public-facing side of Canal Corporation's work. We are continuing along our mission to promote activities that are inclusive, that are accessible, that welcome anyone who wants to be a part of New York State's history to come and visit us, whether they're residents or tourists. The Medina Triennial opened on June 6th. We are on pace to achieve our visitorship goal of about 40,000 that will come to the village of Medina to experience art across 10 locations throughout the village, all walkable. More than 35 artists have contributed, both national artists as well as regional, and it's a really beautiful thing to behold. The theme for the triennial is all that sustains us. Our partnership with the Albany Symphony Orchestra is now in its third and final year. We'll have 3 concerts in total this summer. We've had one at Waterford, one in Rome, and the third and final is going to be on August 15th in the Tonawandas. So if you're in Western New York, you'll be welcome to join us. In each of these cases, we've had a composer in residence who spends time in the community and then debuts a new composition that is about that sense of place. So in Rome, we heard this operatic tribute to chicken riggies, and it was amazing. Really a beautiful thing to behold, especially surrounded by the people of Rome, and it felt like a real honor there. And then lastly, the Seneca Chiefs Back to Buffalo tour took place throughout June. It departed from Waterford on June 6th and made its way back to Buffalo. And it included 16 stops where we had a really heavy focus on engaging school kids. So this was a great opportunity to bring lots of school groups out to tour the vessel, ask questions, and to become stewards of the canal for the future. And with that, I will turn it over to Ben, and then we will both be available for questions.
Questions or comments for Rebecca before she steps away?
Great job, Rebecca. I'm looking forward to the Medina visit, so to see the work there. Ben, I see you're the only one wearing safety gear.
I'm glad you recognize that. PFG is on and state analyze on the book.
All right, thank you very much.
Send me a note on August 15th, so, okay, I'd love to try to make that.
I will. We'd love to have you there.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Great job. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, trustees, NYPA and Canals colleagues, and members of the public. I stand before you now almost 6 months into the job as Director of Canals. And people ask me how it's going, and the short answer is I'm having a blast. It's a lot of fun. I'm all across the state, out on the water, and I think part of what makes it so fun is that I have colleagues like Rebecca and Dave Mellon and others. We have a tremendous team at Canals. I want to acknowledge Ambrose Barbuto, who's retiring tomorrow. So that's certainly a loss, but we've got a great team, and again, having a lot of fun and certainly no shortage of challenges. But what I wanted to focus on today Number of the trustees, especially Trustee Gonzalez, have inquired previously about academic partnerships, how we're engaging young people. And while admittedly, I had a sense of how much we're engaging young people, going through this process was really informative for me as well. We're doing quite a lot. So both at the secondary and post-secondary level. So at the post-secondary level, I just wanted to, you can see the logos on the screen. I'm just going to highlight each one of them and just give you a sense of what they're doing. So Clarkson University, where we have a lot of Clarkson alums at Canals and NYPA, they are supporting numeric modeling at Vischer Ferry to improve our understanding of hydraulics and system performance. At Cornell University down in Ithaca, they are developing aquatic invasive species, eDNA or environmental DNA, multiplex panels that ultimately help us to do early detection for invasive species. At Skidmore, they are mapping social and cultural resources, which is a really important part of the canal system. And at SUNY Cobleskill, they are actually using dogs to detect aquatic invasive species. So dogs, you're going to notice dogs and goats are a common theme throughout this presentation. And we are using, in partnership with Cobleskill, again, dogs to detect AIS throughout the system. And ultimately that enhances our field monitoring capabilities. At University of Buffalo, go Bills, we are advancing autonomous inspection tools. You heard Joe talk a little bit about some of our autonomous work that includes wait for it, robotic dog culvert surveys, slope mowing concepts, as well as other robotic uses. At RPI, we are doing workforce development through workshops and a growing internship program. I've had a chance to interact with a number of interns over this summer, and we are bringing in some really talented young people. A few more closer to home to me, SUNY College of Environmental Science and Forestry. We are collaborating with their Student Advisory Council. They're assisting with curriculum development. And at RIT, they are assisting with OSHA certified EHS training aligned with our operational needs. So these partnerships are giving us access to emerging research. And as I mentioned, really exceptional talent. They're supporting both modernization and long-term workforce readiness. So we're thrilled with our programs and our partnerships and continually looking to establish more.
That's very impressive. Thanks for that. Yeah.
You got it. So now I want to go to the secondary level. I have two daughters going in 8th grade and going into 11th grade. And so this is an area where I'm constantly looking for ways to get people their age engaged. And again, we're doing quite a lot. So most of what we're doing is in partnership with the Erie Canal Way National Heritage Corridor. They are great partners and they administer two specific programs that we want to highlight. The Ticket to Ride program and the Junior Ranger program. So the Ticket to Ride program, which is essentially field trips, good old-fashioned field trips. We are doing a lot of them. We saw substantial growth in 2025, 147 field trips. That's a 36% increase over last year. More than 5,300 students participating from 79 schools across 31 districts. Importantly, 85% of those participating schools were economically disadvantaged. So again, focusing on accessibility across multiple levels. But that's a 10% increase year over year, focusing on economically disadvantaged young people. So since the program began back in 2012, we've engaged more than 70,000 students in looking to continue to grow the program. The Junior Ranger program is a newer program. We launched that in May 2025 with the Erie Canal Way National Heritage Corridor again, as well as the National Park Service. It now spans over 14 partner sites. We've distributed more than 10,000 educational booklets. And that was just between June and October. So again, another way in which we're engaging young people, getting them engaged with canals through the Junior Ranger program. And we're going to be hosting our first Junior Ranger Day, which will take place on August 1st, and really will be a signature event focused on exploration and guided learning. So again, this is about education, it's about collaboration, and it's about engaging the next generation of canal stewards, canal workers, and canal enthusiasts. So really proud of our work. Thank you again, trustees, for continuing to push us towards these partnerships. It's something that we're really leaning into and embracing. So next I want to talk about, Rebecca mentioned Vision 2030 renewed and covered a couple of the focus areas. I want to focus on one more, which is operate, maintain, and improve canal infrastructure. So we have operations, as you all know, year round. Of course, the winter work, which is what I was first introduced to during my first few months. We are constantly doing dam evaluations, always focusing on safety, and really all of this is underpinning the reliability of the system. So as we operate in our third century, it remains vital for both recreation and specialized commercial shipping. Clearly, the vast majority of the activity on the system is recreational in nature, whether it's recreational boating or trail usage. But we are seeing, and you'll see a video at the end of this presentation, that there do continue to be opportunities for commercial shipping, and we want to make sure that we are investing in our infrastructure in a way that supports both of those uses. So earth and embankments, which you've all heard us talk about, they represent approximately 12% of the system and are central to public safety. Our inspection methods include infrared surveys, robotic technologies, train detection animals, which you heard about, as well as traditional bank assessments through our bank walker program. Vegetation management, a really important part of embankment maintenance, and we continue to innovate and try different ways. You've heard about the goats, and really proud of the grazing program, which we've continued to pilot. It's proven to be highly effective. So this year we had 16 goats clear nearly 2 acres in Greece, just outside of Rochester, over the course of 2 weeks, roughly the size of 2 football fields. So that's something we're continuing to utilize. Not only is it effective, environmentally sustainable, but it's a great way to engage the community. It's hard to get mad when goats are taking down overgrowth as opposed to people with chainsaws and other tools. So really great program, and we're excited to continue to expand it and engage the community along the way. As I mentioned, we also continue to demonstrate freight capability. Most recently, I received a call from a friend at Huber Brewer Construction who's doing construction on the Onondaga County Aquarium at Syracuse Inner Harbor. They encountered a challenge where they had over 60,000 pound piece of acrylic that was sourced in Italy, had made its way across the Atlantic into Newark, where it was stuck. And half jokingly, they said, "What about the canal?" And he said, "I know a guy," and he called me. And literally that day, we brought together our teams. And within a week, we had that 60,000 plus pound piece of acrylic on its way up the Hudson River through the canal and into the Inner Harbor. So without further ado, we'll share that video and then happy to answer any questions.
A large piece of acrylic panel that came all the way from Italy, delivered by barge on the Erie Canal to the Inner Harbor for this project. The Erie Canal has evolved over the years, and of course it's a major attraction for recreational boating, the Empire State Trail, but today shows that commercial shipping is still viable on the canal.
It's a 60,000 pound acrylic panel that ultimately worked its way from Waterford into Onondaga Lake and then here into the harbor. Ultimately, the panel will be lifted in through the roof of the building, and it'll be set down and be used as the panel for the shark tank within the aquarium.
It's a big piece of acrylic, and so the logistics of carrying it on the road proved to be really difficult. And so this is a perfect example where getting it on a barge, getting it on the water is the best way to move it, and that's what we did over the past week.
I neglected to mention it's for the shark tank, which makes it even cooler. So
got a bridge to Buffalo last year, and we get acrylic to Syracuse this year.
Right.
So good work. All right, excellent.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, thanks a lot, man, and welcome again. Glad for 6 months are fun.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, pivot to numbers, financial results and outcomes of all that good work. 6 months behind us, 6 months to go.
Yep.
Trends look encouraging.
Don't ask me how I sleep at night.
TMI.
No, but honestly, I sleep like a baby.
Yeah,
Every 2 hours, I wake up screaming.
been sitting on that one. I had to ask you.
Right. But anyway, so yeah, here we are, 6
Justin,
months.
See how that works? I mean, it's pretty.
Justin.
Yeah, I mean, you
In
gotta
fairness, you
set
had
up
some time to think about
Yeah,
it.
exactly. But be a CEO. You're quick on your feet. I mean, he's just a CFO. He's a numbers guy. I mean, come on.
Now, so here we are at the 6-month mark. And, good morning, trustees, NYPA colleagues and members of the public. But we are, given all that's happened during this year with a lot of variability, a lot of puts and takes, we're glad to say that we're here and, ahead of plan and continuing to do so. There was a lot of, volatility during the year. There's a lot of things that we are very vulnerable to, which happens to be weather, energy prices, interest rates, water flow, which is a big one, all types of different factors. So some things, do better, some things don't, and hopefully we come out ahead. And that's sort of how this first 6 months have shaped up. Just to put a little more finer point on that. So as you recall, we had a big miss with Niagara, given the ice conditions during January and into February. So they underperformed significantly. That was more than almost made up or offset by St. Lawrence. And most of that was attributed to our new contract with Alcoa. As you recall, we did a new contract with Alcoa. We changed the formula. It used to have a cap where, based on LME price and Midwest premium, it was around like 3,400 per metric ton. So we removed that cap. And as it just so happened, as the new contract went into place in April, that's when we had all the effects of the Iran conflict. And you saw prices for metals and everything else going up. So we went through the cap. And as a result, as of now, we're doing $11 million better with the new contract than we would have with the old contract. So that has really helped us offset what's happened in Niagara. And it's a win-win. So on the Alcoa side, it works out for them. They saved $73 million over what they would have paid had they had to buy their power in the market. So it's a real help to Alcoa to keep them here and keep the jobs going, as well as it benefited NYPA as well. The fossil fuel plants in BG did it better than planned. A lot of that was weather driven and what happened in those winter months and higher prices. So again, those areas benefited as well. So that's what really the major drivers for the first 6 months. As we look ahead to the end of year, the biggest driver here that we could see is that, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, the annual true up we do on transmission. Some of that is a look back, and the new transmission year starts in July. So when we look at the factors within the true up, there's some that were a timing difference. So we had some work done on Q35 last year. So we've showed as an expense last year. We get to recover it this year. So it shows up as an increase in our revenue requirement. The other major factors are some changes in the way FERC looks at some of our IT spending, where we get to capitalize it under GASB, but it's expensed under FERC. So then that makes it way back into our revenue requirement sooner, and we get a benefit from that. And then the other piece is really how we allocate our indirect overhead costs. So we do it based on how it is performing according to other areas where, there's 3 factors: revenues, plant and service, and labor. And we compare that to all the different areas within NYPA, and they get a percentage allocation, but that's on an estimate. We do a look back after the year 25 is concluded and then true up whatever that number is. It could be higher, it could be lower. In this case, we had budgeted or forecasted it would be 43% of the indirect allocations, and it turned out to be almost 46%. So that difference also is going to drive a change altogether, about $31 million greater than what we had originally forecasted for the end of the year. So our end of the year forecast now, given all of that, has us basically coming in over roughly $35 million from what our target is, given all the things we know today. Some of that could change between now and then, but that's our best guess today. So it looks like we're still in very good shape. Any questions on that?
Great story, great news.
Yeah, and just to
kudos to all.
Right, and thank you. And just to highlight some of the different variables in terms of what did we plan in October, what ended up happening. in the year, and we have a couple of slides on that. So as you know, a big driver had to do with the Iran conflict. You could see when we were doing the budget where the price of oil was, what happened after the conflict started, what happened after there was an MOU, and now we're kind of back in the soup again, given it's off. So there's just a lot of volatility there that we have to be cognizant of, and a lot of that not only affects energy prices, but also drives economic forecasts around things like inflation. So you see this, contributing because not only do you have the oil prices, you also had the supply chain disruptions from the Strait of Hormuz. Not just oil makes it through there, fertilizer, other materials all got impacted. So when we were doing the plan last year, we rely on a conference board, which is a third-party independent entity that we use a lot for their economic forecasting. So they were showing inflation coming back down to that 2% level that the Fed was targeting in order to be able to keep cutting interest rates. Obviously, that didn't happen. We saw inflation expectations growing and being greater. So now we're talking about whether or not the Fed will increase interest rates or not. And that has had an impact on the market, particularly with interest rates and other factors, which has some effect on us, just things we need to be aware of and keep an eye on. Next. A lot of volatility in our modeling around what we were going to see out of the merchant portfolio. A lot of this had to do with expectations around water flow and how much we would have to generate. So as we got into the year, based on the ice conditions and other factors that we do with the Army Corps of Engineers and our modeling, it showed that we were going to be getting less water than was planned. So what started out as a $355 million target got down to as low as 298, based on the spring, which had a ice melt, and that melt contributed to water conditions, and we had an increase 34% higher precipitation during the spring period than in normal years. Those two factors led to our modeling to increase the water flow to a place where we're sort of back to where we started. So, but we could say our plan is where we started, but a lot happens in between there. So you got to appreciate the volatility, even though it looks like nothing's really changed since the beginning of the year. Next. And this is particularly what's happened in that hydro forecasting. We started out with 21 terawatt hours of water flow, going down to 19.8 up to 20.9, but again, shows you how much a dip in that water flow can affect the financials in meaningful ways to the tune of $60-70 million if you have that kind of a drop from where you started your planning. Next. So on the theme of infrastructure, I want to pull back the lens a little bit. You saw a lot on the individual projects and things like that. You heard about Maribel's team and their work with Dave's work on the energy efficiency portfolio. That is doing very well. It's ahead of schedule in terms of where they thought they would be. And we do see them ending the year significantly above by about $130 million what they thought they would be spending on projects. That results in increased fee revenue for us as well. But really the important thing is they're getting projects done, they're getting more projects done, and they're getting them done faster. So it's all very good in terms of the service we're providing to our customers. Next. And this just shows what has happened over time with that energy services portfolio. So if you go back to 2020, we were doing about $200 million a year. That number's doubled now to over $460 million a year. This year we project $450 million a year. So you just authorized contracts last meeting for another 10 years at about $3 billion. The question was, will we be able to do all of that? Well, at this pace, we may have to come back for even more authorization because we're doing more and more each year. Next. As far as this year goes, in terms of our plan, again, this is a barometer of are we finishing projects according to schedule? And this suggests that we are. By the end of the year, we will have achieved our capital spending schedule because this is all done based on an accrual basis, which is based on % completion of projects, not just cash out the door. So all of our projects seem to be running at or ahead of schedule.
Renewables, obviously, That's contingent on what happens second half of the year here.
Yes,
It's a little out the door at this point.
that's
so,
correct.
Okay.
Again, taking a step back, you heard a lot about transmission and all the priority projects, but if you look at where we were with our net asset base in transmission at 2020, we're slightly below $1 billion. As of, today, we're, bumping up to $3 billion. So we've almost tripled our net asset base in transmission. So that's a significant investment that we've made over the last few years. We don't see, we don't see a lot happening over the next few years because in terms of in-service. So a lot of those projects, you saw Trish talking about the Uniondale Hub and Propel, that'll all be money, out the door, but it'll be work in progress. And we'll see Uniondale Hub go into service in 29 and Propel 2030, if all goes well. And this is just the overall asset base for NYPA with all the different areas, canals, production, transmission. And this is taking into account the gross plant less depreciation, which it runs about $450 million a year. So most of the areas have stayed pretty flat or stable. You see the increase in canals based on the investments we're making there. But really the big driver is that transmission. And that's where we're seeing the bulk of the growth.
Yeah, great story. Very compelling. You look, at the integrated report, I know Alexa's gonna pick up on that $4 billion of revenue balance sheet. I mean, yeah, prime time, big time players. So yeah, kudos. And I saw S&P article reaffirmed. So
yes, we've been to see all the rating agencies over the last month or so, and we're being affirmed by all of them. So they're all very happy with what they see and the progress that we're making. And they also like the way we've broken out different things by using things like NIRED, the captive subsidiary for canals, all of that. They like the way we present, so they could follow where is the money all going, like what's supporting the debt, what's supporting the project. So it's a better story to explain than just all being combined into one big black hole or something.
No, as I shut you guys in no real time. I mean, kudos to everyone. I realize that's under the finance umbrella, but that's a commentary on the entire, organization and how well it's managed and risks are mitigated and execution and, effectiveness, efficiency, everything we've heard today and more. So yeah, that's a huge, blue ribbon affirmation report card, however you want to.
Oh yeah,
You want to use.
It's a family.
That's something to be celebrated by everyone.
Yeah, it's a family effort, and we just keep score. So
yeah, you got to have good scorekeepers, because from time to time you got to massage that score. But yeah, very well done. Before Adam gets away, anything else at all? We got finance committee report coming up, whereas has already been referenced. We got a few bucks that we've authorized or at least earmarked. But anything else? Okay, Alexis, podium is yours.
Good morning, trustees, colleagues, and members of the public. We've heard a lot of great stories this morning about progress on infrastructure, both for our existing assets and for our future ones. However, as you well know, it's not just what we do, it's how we do it. And so today, instead of my typical deep dive into one type of risk, instead we're going to zoom out and we're going to share some information about how we're operating and delivering sustainably. We're going to do that through two lenses. The first is going to be a look back through our integrated report for 2025. And our second lens is going to be a look forward, telling you a little bit about our sustainability plan. Now, before the chairman can ask what keeps me up at night, I'm going to introduce Paul Farnan, our VP of Sustainability, and ask him to come up and talk about our two publications.
Thank you and good morning. And before you ask, nothing keeps me awake at night. All right, we're going to talk about the 2025 integrated report. I'll give you a brief highlight of that. We just recently completed it, and we're very happy to have it done, I have to say. Generally, the integrated report, it showcases our achievements of the year and shows the value that we create. It does include the financials that were published, the financial reports that were published back in March. And as Justin said, then it then goes on to weave a much broader narrative of the organization and what we've
Very
done.
impressive.
We do include the publication of our greenhouse gas inventory in this report. As we strive for transparency, we do highlight all of our achievements and good things, but we also have to make note of the impacts that our operations have. And finally, the report aligns with international standards. This allows for year-over-year consistency for comparison and evaluation, and allows for easier comparison across the industry.
Have you seen others in the industry where we were an early adopter, certainly?
Right.
An early player. Where have others in the industry? How has that progressed or followed?
There are a few more in Europe than in the US. There are a handful in the US though, but we're still in the lead of that. And ours is kind of a gold standard.
We're still best in show.
I like to think so. Yes, sir. As I said, our 2025 IR, it highlights the accomplishments of the team, and we highlight those accomplishments through the lens of Vision 2030. And what we do is we took the 4 strategic priorities of Vision 2030, and that's how we group the individual accomplishments. So going through those very briefly, the first priority, drive the clean energy transformation. We talk about the NYRED's updated strategic renewables plan, which all of you approved the end of last year, and includes, as we heard earlier, 200 generation storage projects with over 5 gigawatts. Sorry. On the lead transmission expansion priority, we talk about largest modernization and expansive effort in decades. Our partner with customers, we highlight the 18 megawatts of solar we developed at customer sites and the 81 customer efficiency projects we've completed that saved our customers over 40,000 megawatt hours. And finally, the final goal, revitalize the canal system. We talk about the World Canal Conference that we hosted in Buffalo back in September, brought together over 500 experts and enthusiasts from 10 countries and 22 states. This year, we added a new feature, our People Spotlight. It gives us a chance to highlight and showcase our employees and their accomplishments. You see an example of what one of those will look like. We've got 9 of those throughout the report, and each individual or small team that is highlighted in these was nominated by the individual business units. We're excited about that feature. Not yet, sorry. We also have a section about our operating landscape, and this provides context for the readers. It helps people understand the environment that we have to work in, things like the supply and demand dynamics, the regulatory, the economic, the legal frameworks, and such. It just helps clarify how we operate. And then the value creation model, that has been a feature of this report since the beginning. And it shows how our operations convert the diverse capitals into outputs and outcomes. In the past, this has been, what shall we say, rather complicated octopus type chart that can be challenging to follow. So we took a step back, we relooked at it, we significantly simplified it into 2 charts that more clearly show how our business operations convert the capital inputs into the outputs and the outcomes. All right. And as I mentioned, we do report our greenhouse gas emissions for the year, as you'll see here. So the good news is our emissions did reduce in 2025. The not as good news is the reductions were actually mostly because of circumstance and not because of specific actions that the organization took. As you'll see, our Scope 1 emissions, which is our direct emissions, the emissions from our operations, such as the emissions from our natural gas plants, and operating our vehicles. It did reduce, but that is because of reduced runtime of our natural gas plants with reduced demand. NYSO called on the plants to run less frequently last year, so that was the reduction there. The Scope 2 emissions also reduced, but that is really more of a return to normal. In 2024, we experienced significant smoke from wildfires, decreasing the efficiency of our transmission lines. Our Scope 2 emissions include the electricity loss from our transmission lines. And so with the smoke and decreased efficiency, greater loss through the transmission lines. And then finally, our scope 3, that's our indirect emissions, the emissions created from the things we buy. So the natural gas that we buy for our gas plants, the methane that's released, and the drilling and the processing of that natural gas. And as with the scope 1, reduced runtime of the natural gas plants resulted in reduced scope 3 emissions. Next.
And before you leave that, I think we all had a chance to flip through it. Incredibly impressive, great work. First of all, so very, very well done.
Thank you.
We were talking earlier about how we tell our story and the like. The report itself is a bit intimidating in terms of its volume and size and all the rest of that, but there's just so much good stuff in there, and how to pull out and use, whether it's legislative interactions and informational sessions, other constituents, et cetera. So I hope and assume we're leveraging that in every way possible in terms of how our storytelling and who we are and what we're about. And again, it tracks and trends the incredible growth that Adam just recapped. So
yeah, I think it's going to be a great tool for us going forward. As you said, to continue to tell our story, particularly with some of the new initiatives we're pursuing. And
yeah, allows us to keep playing offense in terms of what we're about and all of that. So yeah, kudos to all.
Chairman, the report itself to you is fully digital, right? So from a sustainability perspective, we don't print hard copies, and there are hyperlinks. It is assumed that a typical reader is not reading it cover to cover, right? But might go to a specific section. And so part of the length of the document is some repeats just to make sure there's enough context in each section so that a reader can come in and really feel like they can follow.
So you said something that caught my attention. Thank you for the context for this page, because I didn't get it, right? It's like, what are they trying to tell me here? But you said something really important. This happened by happenstance, not by strategy.
Correct.
So when does that shift? Or when can that shift? When will that shift?
That is a difficult question. We are working on our sustainability plan, which we'll get to, will continue to advance the sustainability and reduction of emissions. All of the great work that Trish's team is doing with the efficiencies and the renewable team is doing, all of that. However, when you just look at the raw numbers, our greatest emissions are our natural gas plants. And as we've said, we have to run those plants. Now, what we are doing, and which will decrease our scope 3 emissions for the natural gas plants, we've worked with the buyers and we've set targets in the sustainability plan to increase the amount of certified natural gas that we buy. This can actually reduce the emissions by about 30%. So yes, we do have to continue with the fossil fuel burning, but we are finding ways to be more efficient and reduce the emissions from those plants. Okay, Chris, thank you. And as we're talking about the future of the IR, we will continue. We have streamlined the process significantly over the last several years. We will continue to do so. We're finding ways to increase the efficiency and reduce the resources that it takes to create the plan. For instance, this year we incorporated a new software technology, which significantly increased the efficiency of the writing and the editing process. Our hope is to use that same software next year for the data collection, for all the data that goes into it. And ideally, this will actually eliminate the stacks and stacks of Excel spreadsheets that we have to use for the data, which will make many, many people very happy, I promise you. We're also looking at what we can do with AI. We are going to be a little bit limited in what AI can do for the report, but we think it can be very helpful in pulling out the accomplishments and the stories from within the organization and putting it into the highlights section. And then finally, as Alexis said, looking forward, and as Justin mentioned, we have recently finished our next 5-year sustainability plan. We're very proud of that. It took a lot of work. And this really will continue the vision that the leadership has of embedding sustainability into the thinking, into the culture here of NYPA. It's a roadmap to get us to where sustainability is just the way we do business here. And I need to take a second to emphasize, it is a sustainability plan, but this was not a sustainability team project. This was an all of NYPA and Canals project. We pulled in people from every corner of the organization, and we took their inputs into what we can do and how we can do it. So it was an all of organizational effort. And if you'll indulge me for 1 second, I need to take a moment. We have Alex Leader here. Alex is part of the sustainability team. She works out of the Buffalo office. Last summer, I asked Alex to lead the effort to create the sustainability plan. And when I say she took charge of it, she took charge of it. She pulled in people from every corner of the organization, sifted through all of the information coming in, all of disparate information and opinions, and often conflicting and contradictory opinions and thoughts and objectives. And she managed to massage it all together to create a very high quality, forward-looking sustainability plan. So thank you, Alex, very much for all of that work. This plan is ambitious, it's far-reaching, but it's also achievable. It sets some fantastic goals to really broaden the sustainability reach, but it's done in a realistic way. We took, as I said, we took inputs from every corner of the organization. We had, in the sustainability team, we had a vision for what sustainability would look like, but then we went out and talked to the people on the ground, the people that actually have to do the work that will accomplish these goals. And we took those inputs. We said what we wanted to do. They told us what we could do, what we could not do, and how we can do it. So we're able to massage all of that into a realistic plan that will continue to advance sustainability here at NYPA and Canals, but will do so in a sensible way that will also support the mission of NYPA and Canals. And with that, I'll take any questions you have.
And this is a 5-year cycle. What is the publication cycle for the sustainability?
For the plan?
For this particular report, yeah. For the plan. I mean, you do the review every 5 years, every 10?
It's a 5-year plan,
Okay.
right. The last report was 2021 to 2025. We just finished this one in the spring, and this will carry us into 2030. So in about 2029, we'll start looking at the new plan. However, as I've told everybody as we're doing this, this is a living document. Conditions will change. The politics will change, the economics will change, the environment will change. We will continue to monitor this throughout the course of the 5 years, and we will adjust as necessary. Like I said, we've set some great goals. Some of those goals may not become realistic in a couple of years based on changing conditions. If we need to change goals, we'll take a look at that.
Anything else for Paul? Okay, great work. Well
Thank
done,
you.
guys. Thank you very much. Very impressive, everyone. Great reports. Speak incredibly well for the wonderful and impactful work you and the organization's doing. So very, very well done. Thank you. Next couple items, committee reports that I'm happy to quickly recap, both finance and audit. Finance, we met another quarter in the meter. Here we go. Where do you want me to reboot, Joe? Where'd you lose me? Oh no. We've got two committee reports, finance and audit. I was saying that finance, we met a little over a month ago and got 7 different recommendations that bring forward for presumed full board approval today. I'll give you a quick little drive-by. There's some significant dollars, here in total, so don't want to minimize it by any means. First up is a series of 19 contracts, 5-year contracts for enterprise management consulting services. Again, this is another case of where we earmark funds to be spent over a period of time, this time 5 years, for a total of $45 million in support of enterprise management consulting work. There was also a contract to be awarded to Fresh Meadow Power for a term of 5 years in the aggregate amount of 25 million. I've heard it referenced a few times today, also earmarking my words, 3.3, call it $3.5 billion with a B relative to future transmission projects and other work that we're out in front of where we need to make long-term commitments. So we've earmarked north of $3 billion for that. Another $13 million authorized to support our clean energy workforce training initiatives. The bulk of that, 10 million, goes to our partnership and matching funds, if you will, with our allocation of funds to Department of Labor Clean Energy Workforce Training Initiative that the DOL oversees. Otherwise, there's half a dozen separate authorizations. I'll let Felicity and the team capture all that, but Energy Infrastructure Partners, Hudson Valley Clean Energy Workforce, Buffalo Clean Energy, Northland Workforce Training, RTI, Renaissance Technical Institute, SUNY Canton for the combination of another $3 million. Fifth item is a contract to be awarded to Waldner's Business Environments for a total of 19 million for enterprise-wide FF&E. Otherwise, two additional items, 5 million in support of agricultural consumer electricity discount program. And the last one was CNE Uniform Security Guards contract for a term of 5 years and an amount of $17 million. So if I quickly add that up, there's a fair chunk of change there that we had good discussion on, some of which may have caused you to lose sleep in the last 30 days. But unless you have, I'd be pleased to entertain a motion to approve those recommendations. Lori, thank you very much. Have a second. B, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. We had a audit committee meeting this morning. Trustee Trainer, who is our audit committee chair, unfortunately had to leave, so a quick recap on his behalf. We adopted the minutes from our audit committee meeting of 3 months ago, March 31. We also received great reports from Solomon and his team in terms of internal audit strategy, other required disclosures, and a really good update on where we stand mid-year, calendar-wise, early first quarter in terms of their reporting cycle, what things are tracking and trending in a very positive way, and otherwise continuing to grow and evolve the sophistication and effectiveness of the function. So no items required to vote at that meeting, and hence no motion is required here today. Those are the two committee meetings that were held since we were last together as a full board. Otherwise, last item on our agenda is the consent agenda. It's always lengthy, so hopefully everyone had a good chance to take a look through the materials. And unless you have any other questions, I'd be pleased to entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented to us.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Cecily. Second, Michael. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. That concludes our formal items of action, presentation, and discussion for today. Before we close, we do have a couple recognitions and resolutions that we'd like to bring forward. So I'll flip it back to Justin and Lori.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we'd like to take this opportunity to recognize Joe Grislow, our Vice President and Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer. Joe is with us here today. Joe has decided to retire after 35 years with the Power Authority, where he's held a number of roles. He's worked at some of the plants, worked at Indian Point back in the day, came to White Plains and has really been a rock for us. And I can't tell you how much we in management, and I think the board shares this view, have relied on Joe and Joe's guidance and his steady hand for all these years. So I want to take a moment to recognize Joe's 35 years of service, and Joe, thank you on behalf of management for all you've done to keep us on the straight path, and your guidance and your advice has been exceptional. And I personally have really enjoyed working with you, and I wish you the best of luck in your retirement.
On behalf of the board, I'd certainly echo those sentiments, to reiterate a little bit of what I said last night. I come from a world, public accounting, banking, where regulation, compliance, navigating requirements and statutes and all the rest of that is just part of doing business. When I came here, I and the rest of us as trustees have been an incredible beneficiary. Joe takes that to a whole nother level, the level of professionalism, competence, the passion and the energy he brings to it is exemplary. So I know on behalf of all of us, Joe, you've kept us on the straight and narrow, kept us out of the ditch, helped us navigate some challenging situations from time to time. So reiterating Justin's comments, congratulations on a great run with the organization. And we certainly wish you the best in the years to come. So thank you very much. And we have, well, one other.
We have one other.
Last but not least, certainly.
Yes. So I want to talk about Karen just for a few minutes. So congratulations on your last in-person board meeting as the corporate secretary. So I met Karen back in 2011 when I first joined NYPA, and Karen was actually one of the first people to reach out to me. She offered to take me out to lunch and sort of just get me acclimated to NYPA, and she offered to answer any questions I may have and to help me in any way she could. And I appreciated that gesture of friendship and of willing to assist me. And for everybody who knows Karen, you know that that's just who she is. She's a kind and a genuine kind and genuine person. She also has a tremendous sense of pride in your position and your role as corporate secretary. And you also have a tremendous sense of pride for your team. You know, you guys are phenomenal together. And that's clear. And you also, unsolicited, by the way, have said many times as this day approached, how much you love working for this board and this board in particular. So in addition to all of those attributes, I quickly came to learn and appreciate your intelligence. And I respect very much your knowledge, your unwavering commitment to professionalism, and honestly, your warmth. You know, you are very effective and you're also a very warm person, always willing to help. So I have relied tremendously upon Karen and her team, and it's been quite the luxury for me over the years. Something I'm going to have to learn a little bit of change. But Karen is a very quiet and she's a consistent force in NYPA. And for those of you who may, and I hope it's most of you, are familiar with the movie The Wizard of Oz, I almost equate you to the wizard behind the curtain. You are very detail oriented. You hold people accountable. Everybody's on their toes with you. They know when deadlines have to be met, and you make sure that they are met. You make sure that presentations are done timely for your benefit so that you all are ready for the board meetings, so that when IT says, Chairman, we're ready to go live, the meetings run very smoothly. You are a very hard act to follow, my dear, truly. And it probably won't surprise any of you to know that she has spent the last year working with Felisa to make sure that she transitions smoothly into the corporate secretary role so that we all continue to enjoy the same level of excellence and professionalism that we've come accustomed to know under your leadership. So I thank you very much for all your hard work. And I do know that we are in good hands with Felisa. So, and I also know that you're ready to retire because that smile. Every day that we go closer to this day, her smile grows. And I'm not taking that personally. And I know that everybody in this room joins me in wishing you a wonderful retirement, an opportunity to relax and unwind. It is well earned and well deserved. And I do hope you leave here, because today is your last day, but I do hope you leave here with a true sense of fulfillment and achievement in all that you have accomplished here, and know that you will not be forgotten, my dear.
Thank you, Laura.
So thank you.
And on behalf of the board, echoing those sentiments tenfold, relative to the Wizard of Oz, you stand much taller. And we're fortunate to have benefited from that. I, for my 15 years of service, and this group, for more recent times. Yeah, you make our jobs easier. You make us look good. You ensure we're doing the right things the right ways. Your counsel, literal and figurative, has been invaluable, and yeah, we all consider you a good friend as well. You're, as Lori said, a really great person as well as a tremendous professional. And as with Joe, the professionalism that you and your team bring to all that we do and all that we're about is unmatched and unrivaled. And you make these meetings and these sessions home. I will miss the red lights and green lights I have for the last few years. I think we ought to make sure you get a pair of those on the way out the door today. But I know on behalf of the board, we wish you every success as you travel the world and back and pursue future endeavors. You've earned it, deserve it, and I know you'll continue to make those around you that much better. So thank you very, very much. And one other acknowledgement, under the circumstances, we can't not acknowledge Batman and Robin. We just talked about Batman, so here's Robin, or whatever other metaphor is relevant. I don't know if it's Dorothy and the Wizard, but that doesn't quite, work. But her Karen's sidekick, I'll say, one who's ridden shotgun, at least for our benefit. Over the years, advised us on very short notice, at least for some of us, that she's also opted to step down. So Sheila, I want to acknowledge you as well, and would reiterate much of what we just said about, Karen, you a key member of the team. You took good care of all of us and make sure that we had what we needed when we needed it, and got us here, got us there, kept us organized, kept us focused, kicked our butt when it was needed, at least mine anyway.
Well, that was her role.
Yeah, exactly. So good cop, bad cop, you guys ham and egged it very, very well. So thank you for all of your work in support of Karen and the team at large, and for our benefit as well. So we obviously wish you every success in the years ahead. So thank you. And unless there's any other matters to come before us.
I think we have to vote on the two resolutions.
Oh, I passed that?
I think,
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. So we do have two resolutions for Karen and Joe. And if I could, I'd ask for a collective motion to approve and a collective second. Okay, and unanimous and enthusiastic endorsement thereof, okay? All right. We'll hand those out after we quickly adjourn the meeting. So unless there are any other matters to come before us, I'm very pleased to adjourn the meeting. We're back together in another couple months. Hard to believe a couple months is the end of September. The Bills will be on their way toward another effort to the Super Bowl. The Giants and Jets, hey, I don't know, but anyway, all of that said, unless you have anything else to chit chat about, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Lori, thank you very much. Second, Michael, in favor, aye. Aye. Great meeting, everyone. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of summer, and we look forward to seeing you at the end of September. Thank you.